Hey friends, hope you're all doing well. We're doing okay too, just really tired since we've been working non-stop. We wanted to answer a question many of you ask: how does our publishing process work? Most of our audiobooks are first posted on Patreon as paid content. They stay behind a paywall for a few months. After that, they become free to access on Patreon forever. Then, a few weeks later, we upload them to other platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, X. Lately, our community hasn't been growing much, and we could really use your help. Please share our site in your Facebook groups, Discord servers, Reddit threads, Twitter, X, or with any friends who might be interested. Every little bit helps and we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for being with us and supporting what we do. Already surpassing 2 meters in height, his terrifying strength sent chills down everyone's spine. Each of them trembled in fear. Step. Katakuri strode forward, lifting his gaze. His crimson eyes gleamed coldly. Holding his trident in one hand, he asked icily, "Did you really think Fishman Island wasn't under the protection of the Big Mom pirates? You trash. What the hell do you think you're doing? Die. You brat. We'll kill you." Whoosh. Pirates lunged at him. Katakuri didn't even flinch, his trident lashed out in a single, fluid motion. So simple. Effortless. He pierced the pirate's forehead clean through. No wasted movement. Katakuri, trained by Skathak, had perfected his control over his strength. And this was only the beginning. Brat. The pirate captain roared angrily. Who the hell do you think you are? Even if your family leader, your big brother, were here, we'd still cut him down. Do you really think Fishman Island belongs to you? Machi thrust. Katakuri struck without hesitation, his trident spinning like a drill as it pierced straight through the pirate captain's body, making him scream in agony. Katakuri's attack was ruthless. He didn't even aim for a vital spot, just enough to leave the man paralyzed, writhing on the ground. Ugh! The pirate captain moaned, his body drained of blood, now nothing more than a broken shell. Crack! Katakuri stepped onto his chest, his voice icy. Who gave you the guts to even mention my brother's name? You think death isn't something to be afraid of? Alright then. Katakuri crouched slightly, his gaze colder than ever. Let me show you what it really means to suffer. Gurgle. Katakuri's leg morphed into Machi. Like writhing serpents, the Machi tendril slithered into the pirate's open wound, burrowing into his body. Ah! The man let out a horrifying scream. He wanted to beg for mercy, but he couldn't even make a sound, his mouth was already sealed shut by Machi. Within moments, he endured unbearable agony before succumbing to death. His body swelled grotesquely, like an overinflated balloon. Every inch of his flesh, every fiber of his being, was stuffed with Machi until he was forcefully stretched apart, bursting from within. The pain he experienced before death was beyond imagination. Now then. It's your turn. Katakuri lifted his gaze, scanning the crowd with chilling indifference. A total of 10,923 men. Good. None of you tried to run. Not that you could. This place is now a battlefield. Either you kill me, or I kill you. Smack. With steady steps, Katakuri advanced. Even against thousands of foes, he remained fearless. What did numbers matter? If he was to become the pillar of their family, the right hand of his big brother, then no matter how many enemies stood before him, they were all destined to die. He would become the unstoppable war god of the Charlotte family. Rah-ah! With an earth-shaking roar, Katakuri launched into action. Unstoppable Machi blade bullet. Burning Machi. Katakuri hurled his trident first, impaling multiple pirates before it embedded itself into the ground. Then, his left hand transformed into a Machi Gatling gun, while his right ignited with flames. What followed was a massacre. Pirates fell one after another, too slow to react. Some were skewered, others blasted apart by his burning punches. Explosions roared, bodies were sent flying. Unlike Luffy, who had intimidated 50,000 men in the original story, Katakuri wasn't just scaring them. He intended to slaughter them all. Die. Ha. The pirates weren't about to just stand there and get killed. This was the age of pirates. No one survived by luck alone. Every one of them was a hardened killer. They struck back instantly. Humphrey. Katakuri snorted. From his shoulders, two Machi spikes shot out, wrapped in armament haki, impaling his attackers. He tore through the battlefield like a true war god. Fists, feet, weapons, he used everything at his disposal, each attack claiming another life. Even those who dared to get close never saw it coming. At any moment, a Machi spike could pierce straight through their chest. And so, more and more pirates hesitated, growing afraid to strike. Drip. As the battle raged on, Katakuri stood alone, cutting down thousands. Blood pooled beneath him, forming streams that trickled down the sloping battlefield like a crimson river. Slaughter. That single word echoed in Kitakuri's mind. He would wipe out every last one of them. He would carve the Charlotte family's name into history with their corpses. This was the man once hailed in the original story as the strongest of the Charlotte family, an unbeatable monster. Now, at just this young age, he was already proving his power. One day, he would rise from the mountain of corpses and ocean of blood. He would stand at the very peak of the world. Chapter 93, The Big Mom Pirate's Flag. Drip. Step by step, he walked forward. Kitakuri's figure was now drenched in crimson. But it wasn't his own blood, it was the blood of his enemies. But none of that mattered. Kitakuri didn't care about such things. As long as he crushed every last enemy, that was enough. No. Is this guy a demon? He's not human at all. Help me. Even these ruthless pirates, men who had long abandoned fear, were now trembling. To be honest, for the truly powerful, a strong conqueror's haki could instantly take down 50,000, 100,000, or even more. But, those people only fainted. They weren't dead. While it created a shocking spectacle, the mental impact wasn't absolute. Anyone with a brain knew that those who fell were nothing but ants. The real threats were the ones still standing. But the problem was Kitakuri didn't just use haki and focus on those who stood. He was killing them all. That was what truly instilled fear. Drip. Blood pooled on the ground, flowing like a small stream down a hillside. Kitakuri's voice was cold, devoid of emotion. 730 of you remain. If this is all you have to offer, I don't know who gave you the courage to show up here. Ah. No. The celestial dragons. It's all because of those damn celestial dragons. They set us up. As Kitakuri continued his slaughter, the pirates screamed, their voices like a dam breaking, desperately trying to plead for mercy. But, it was meaningless. At this moment, amidst the massacre, the people of the Hyuga kingdom felt both fear and fury. Queen Atoheim had always longed for peaceful coexistence. But, reality was right before her eyes. Sigh. Atoheim murmured softly, her voice tinged with sorrow. Maybe I was wrong. Peaceful coexistence is just an illusion. In their eyes, the fishmen and merfolk are nothing more than pets. Cracker nodded. You're absolutely right. To humans, all non-human races are just pets. Hearing Cracker's blunt words, the crowd fell silent. Compote spoke even more directly, so stop dreaming. Peace? Coexistence? That's impossible. This world is real and brutal. Strength is all that matters. Mundi agreed. That's why following Big Bro is the best choice for your future. Otherwise, your fate is nothing but darkness. One by one, they spoke. And the people of Hyuga Kingdom had no words to refute them. Deep inside, they understood. Splat. From the sea of corpses and blood, a lone figure emerged. Charlotte Kitakuri. Third son of the Charlotte family. Vice captain of the Big Mom Pirates. The strongest of the Sweet Commanders. Even at just 11 years old, he had already begun to shine with invincible brilliance. The reason was simple. Once upon a time, as a child, Kitakuri trained under his eldest brother. Joey had placed young Kitakuri on a couch and spoken to him gently. Kitakuri, do you know? One day, you will be an invincible man. You will surpass everyone, beyond even mother. You will be the unshakable pillar of our family. The sharpest blade that cuts down anyone who dares to challenge us. Those words had never left him. And so, step by step, he climbed higher. The strongest. Invincible. Forever. Kitakuri would never fail, because he was the strongest. Slam. Clenching his fist, he took hold of his trident and strode forward, whispering, Big Bro. Can you see me? I will never disappoint you. I am the blade of our family. I am Charlotte Kitakuri. A firm resolve. Sharp eyes. A strange sensation suddenly surged through him. Cough, cough. Kitakuri abruptly started coughing violently. Then, everything returned to normal. He frowned slightly. What was that just now? Did I overexert myself? No. That shouldn't be possible for me. Pushing aside his doubts, he set them aside for another time. Right now, he had one task left. To claim Fishman Island as Big Mom Pirates territory. Totland's domain. The Charlotte family's domain. What he didn't know was that his true power was awakening. His will. His spirit. His strength. All of it was on the verge of a complete transformation. Back on the Queen Mama Chanter, Kitakuri calmly said, King Neptune, everything has been handled. I'll leave it to you to clean up the bodies. At this moment, the ruthless killer and the composed leader seemed like two completely different people. This was why Kitakuri was called the perfect man. Under the teachings of Skathak and Zhujiang, he mastered everything faster than anyone. Cracker, Compote, Daifuku, and Oven were warriors. Prospero, Amand, Broe, and Custard were strategists and administrators. Skathak and Sudliang respected Joey for a reason: he knew how to utilize talent. He placed his family members in the perfect roles. Prospero was cunning, making him ideal for the underworld dealings. Amand was cold yet highly capable, making her the perfect chief minister of Dotland. And Katakuri? He was near being perfect? For now, he was in charge of protecting their interests in the pirate world. As for their mother, Joey was completely unfazed. She loved to go out and have fun. If she ever got tired of adventuring, she'd return. If not, she could just be Big Mom Pirate's mascot. Understood. Neptune nodded hastily. Katakuri, I must ask one more thing. Please leave the Big Mom Pirate's flag here. That's the only way, Katakuri nodded. No need to worry, King Neptune. I know what to do. Big Bro said it himself, Fishman Island is our ally, under our protection. No one will dare cause trouble here. With that, Katakuri's arm stretched into a massive form, gripping an enormous pirate flag. Slam. Step by step, he walked toward the central plaza of Fishman Island. Half an hour later, before countless onlookers, fishmen, world government officials, underground brokers, pirates, Katakuri raised the flag high. Boom. He drove it into the ground. Then, gripping his trident, he declared coldly, from this day forward, Fishman Island belongs to the Big Mom Pirates. Anyone who dares lay a hand on it, will be our enemy. A battle to the death. No one doubted Katakuri's words. After all, the Big Mom Pirates weren't just about Katakuri. Just now, he had slaughtered over 10,000 men in one go. Though terrifying, those opponents weren't exactly strong. But the real problem? If you mess with Fishman Island, all Big Mom Pirates will come for you. Katakuri will come. And if Katakuri comes, so will Linlin, the Big Mom. Linlin, one of the former commanders of the Rocks Pirates. Even in this era, the name of the Rocks Pirates still loomed large. Golden Lion, Whitebeard, the Big Mom, these three were once the most powerful commanders of the Rocks Pirates, their strength beyond doubt. But more importantly, the Big Mom Pirates were backed by the Charlotte family. Simply put, this was a deep pit. One wrong step, and you're dead. Regardless of what others thought, the moment that flag was planted, it signified the full realization of Joey's vision for the Charlotte family's three branches. Amand managing Todo Land. Prospero overseeing the Dark Trade Guild. Katakuri leading the Big Mom Pirates. The three major branches of the Charlotte family were now complete. Getting started was always the hardest part. But once the foundation was set, everything else would come more easily. Neptune immediately stepped forward. Lady Linlin, Sir Katakuri, please. The royal palace has prepared a banquet in your honor. Good. The group followed Neptune toward Ryugu Kingdom. Queen Itoheim remained silent, shaking her head. At the entrance of Ryugu Palace, Fisher Tiger deliberately lagged behind before finally speaking. Your Majesty, your vision was not wrong. In the past, Fishman Island had no choice but to seek the world government's recognition in order to peacefully coexist with humans. However, Tiger's expression turned serious. Now, we have backing. Do we really need to fear humans anymore? In the past, the fishmen were not incapable of fighting back. They simply couldn't afford to. They feared provoking the Marines and bringing disaster upon themselves. But now, things were different. With the protection of the Big Mom Pirates, with the backing of the Charlotte family, it was time to fight back. Itoheim sighed in distress. That's exactly what worries me. If we begin to retaliate, the fishmen's long repressed anger toward humanity will be unleashed entirely. And when that happens... Tiger, however, shook his head. Your Majesty, no one can have it both ways. You can't expect to gain something without making sacrifices. With that, he walked away, leaving Itoheim standing there, lost in thought. Indeed. She had hoped for the protection of the Charlotte family without completely severing ties with humanity. But was that even possible? Impossible. Joey wouldn't allow it. Neither would anyone else. Fence-sitters were the first to die in times like these. Now, Itoheim had to make a choice and she knew there was no way to avoid it. A neutral stance? Joey would never allow it. Sigh. Itoheim let out a soft breath, her decision becoming clear. Sometimes, living in constant fear and submission was far worse than taking a bold step forward. If they won, the fishman's status would be forever changed. If they lost, they would be left with nothing. But they had already come this far. Why not take the gamble? Hey. Itoheim chuckled softly. Sometimes, kindness isn't always a good thing. Indeed. Compote nodded. Your Majesty, kindness is not always a virtue. Big Brother was right. You will come to understand how to handle this matter. Hearing this, Itoheim was intrigued. Did Sir Joey foresee this? Big Brother said that while you are kind, You are also capable of making decisive choices. That means you represent the will of the fishman. Huh? Does he really think so highly of me? Big Brother believes that you are the soul of the fishman, while Tiger represents their fighting spirit. I see. As they talked, Atoheim and Kampot continued toward the palace. As for what would happen if Atoheim failed to make the right choice? No one asked. No one answered. Smart people knew better than to speak of such things. Chapter 94, New Bounties. What was going on at Fishman Island? Joey didn't know yet. But suddenly, he felt his heart beat slightly faster. Huff, letting out a slow breath, he muttered, "What is this? This heartbeat? It shouldn't be happening." However, after carefully checking himself over, he realized there was nothing wrong at all. Weird. He muttered in confusion. Big bro. Big bro. Just then, Charlotte Cornstarch ran up excitedly. Big bro. The three-eyed tribe is ready to go. Everyone's packed up, and Opera is preparing to leave. Joey snapped out of his thoughts and smiled. All right. Then, he and Cornstarch headed up to the deck. The three-eyed tribe had indeed finished preparing. But their numbers. Originally, Joey had estimated there were at least 100,000 of them. But reality proved otherwise. It was almost laughable. The entire three-eyed tribe, including those scattered outside, barely amounted to 80,000 people. That number was shocking. A whole race and not even 80,000. What kind of concept was that? Just thinking about it made it clear. Lai approached Joey respectfully. Chief, thank you for taking us in. The three-eyed tribe will be loyal citizens of Tato Land. Joey replied warmly, no need to thank me. Lady Amand is in charge of managing Tato Land. Just report to her. Goodbye, Miss Lai. Thank you, she said, bowing deeply before stepping back. Joey simply smiled, saying nothing more. Opera then walked over. Big bro. I'm heading out. I need to get the three-eyed tribe back quickly. Cadenza, Cabaletta, and Gala are holding down the fort in the Whole Cake Sea, but it's still dangerous. Joey nodded. Go on. Stay safe. Yeah. Opera responded seriously. Stay safe. Those words made one thing clear, if things went south, Opera had the right to abandon the whole tribe and escape alone. Because, above all, Opera was the most important. Splash, the fleet slowly disappeared into the distance. Joey spoke up. Now that Opera has left, it's our turn to set sail. On to the second destination. Daifuku grinned. No problem, big bro. Oven immediately started giving orders for departure. Splash, the ships set off as well, heading straight for their next destination. It wasn't far. At most, it would take 2 days to arrive. After all, the Snake Neck clan and the Three-Eyed tribe didn't live that far apart. Inside the study, Joey pondered, the intel on the Snake Neck clan is unclear. Counter hasn't been able to get solid information. All we know is that they're surrounded. And it seems like someone is waiting for an arrival. Pirates are involved, but who exactly are they waiting for? Clearly, this was something worth investigating. For now, he put aside his unease about his strange heartbeat. There were more pressing matters at hand, and his body was definitely fine. If something were wrong, the system would have warned him. Thinking deeply, Joey's gaze sharpened. He knew, the Snake Neck clan's situation was complicated. First, both the Snake Neck clan and the Three-Eyed tribe lived in extremely hidden locations. Second, Joey murmured, the Three-Eyed tribe was found by accident. Clearly, someone planned to capture all of them. But the Snake Neck clan's case is different. The attackers are deliberately surrounding them without attacking. That means they're after the whole clan. Interesting. Joey smirked. So, their goal is clear, they want to recruit the Snake Neck clan. But who's behind this? The Snake Neck clan has decent potential, but it's not that exceptional. He carefully considered the possibilities. If this were during the days of the Rocks pirates, it would definitely be their doing. But things were different now. The seas were in chaos. Roger, Whitebeard, Shiki, Captain John, Wang Zi, Silver Axe, Chen Zhao. One by one, these legendary monsters were rising to prominence. It might have only been half a year, but that was enough time for chaos to erupt. The Navy had been pushed to its limits. Of course, some major shifts had happened at the beginning of the year. First, Steelbone Kong, the last of the 3 admirals, was promoted to Fleet Admiral. Sengoku and Zephyr were now admirals of the Marine headquarters. Even though there were only 2 admirals now, Garp was still known as the hero of the Navy and held the rank of Vice Admiral. In terms of overall strength, the Navy still maintained its 3-admiral system. It was just a matter of titles. Bang! Just as Joey was deep in thought, a sudden knock on the door interrupted him. Lifting his head, Joey casually said, "Come in." Creak. The door opened, and Nussstort walked in, holding a newspaper. Big bro. The situation on Fishman Island has been resolved. The world government has once again raised Brother Katakuri's bounty. Oh? Joey smirked with interest. Tell me, how much did it increase? Nussstort replied, Brother Katakuri's bounty has risen to 870 million baileys. Mom's bounty has increased to 3.084 billion baileys. Sister Compote's bounty is now 350 million, Brother Cracker's is 298 million, and Sisters Mundi, Hashi, and Defily each got a 100 million increase. Joey nodded. That's not surprising. Katakuri performed exceptionally well in the battle at God Valley, and after causing a ruckus on Fishman Island, this kind of bounty increase is expected. The others' bounties also grew within the normal range. He understood it very well. This level of bounty increase was nothing extraordinary. Right now, their bounties hadn't truly exploded yet. If Katakuri's actions were taken into account properly, a bounty of at least 2 billion baileys wouldn't be an issue. Nussstort continued, besides that, Sister Man's bounty has been revoked. Hey. Joey chuckled. Looks like the 5 elders reconsidered and decided to take back the bounty order. He smirked. This wasn't just a trivial matter. A bounty notice might seem insignificant, but the implications were entirely different. This meant that the Charlotte Pirates and the family had gained enough influence to make the 5 elders take a step back. That was what truly mattered. Nussstort nodded but remained serious. Big bro. We still can't let our guard down. The world government might have backed off for now, but they're definitely planning something. If we get careless, problems will arise. Joey laughed. You brat, don't worry. Of course, I know that. But. He looked at Nussstort with a wide grin. Go get Moscato for me. Huh? Nussstort was momentarily stunned but quickly nodded and left. Before long, Moscato, the 3-year-old, was brought in. Tilting his head, he asked, Big bro. You called me? Joey asked warmly, Moscato, what do you think? Then, he explained everything that had just happened. Little Moscato thought for a moment before replying, a year from now, after the World Conference, our conflict with the world government will be unavoidable. There's no stopping it. Right now, they'll likely increase efforts to cause trouble. If they can't shake Toto Land, they'll probably come directly for you, big bro. Hey. Joey nodded in satisfaction. Despite his young age, Moscato's analysis was spot on. Joey grinned. Moscato, that's a great insight. This devil fruit is for you. Just like your sister, go back and help him and manage Toto Land. Big bro. Moscato jumped up excitedly, staring at the devil fruit in front of him. A Paramsha type. Gelato fruit. It wasn't a particularly powerful devil fruit. It was just one of the many food-related fruits. But the meaning behind it was different. It meant that he had earned Big Bro's recognition. Nussstort was also happy. Moscato, congratulations. He genuinely meant it. Nussstort was thrilled. After all, seeing his talented little brother being acknowledged was definitely something to celebrate. However, Nussstort also felt the pressure. He needed to work even harder. Joey didn't say much and continued, Moscato, since you specialize in swordsmanship, I'm giving you this great sword as well. Its name? Ice Cream. And from now on, Memory Island are under your management. Moscato grabbed the huge ice cream sword, took a bite of the devil fruit, and then. The little brat firmly declared, Big bro. Don't worry. I won't disappoint you. Joey laughed. You better not. Three-Eyed Tribe? Memory Island? True Town? The Minister of Gelato. Honestly, food-type devil fruits were usually classified as creation-based abilities. Essentially, they allowed the user to conjure food items out of thin air. These kinds of devil fruits were generally mid-tier, not low. Because if you could create something from nothing, you wouldn't be weak. And one thing was undeniable. Bloodline truly mattered. Mash, cornstarch, Moscato. Their natural talents weren't outstanding. At least, not in combat. However, aside from Mash, the other two siblings excelled in management, which had become increasingly clear during their recent voyage. Then, Joey turned to Nussstort. Nussstort, with your talents, you're not suited to be a minister. You're more suited for combat. Unfortunately, I only have the book fruit right now, which isn't the right fit for you. Huh? Nussstort instantly understood and happily said, Big bro. I'm not in a hurry. I'll keep training. I won't let you down. Saying that, he dashed off. Moscato also rushed out. Big bro, I'm leaving too. Grabbing his giant sword, he happily ran away. Hey. Joey shook his head with a smile. These two brats. Big bro has high hopes for you. He sighed with amusement but didn't dwell on it. Right now, Joey still had the book fruit and the healing fruit. Both were support-type abilities. Nustort had excellent combat potential, so these fruits weren't ideal for him. However, before setting sail, Prospero had informed Joey of a devil fruit located at a certain place. A fruit perfect for Nustort. Bang. Having made all the arrangements, Joey lightly tapped his desk and continued thinking. The Snake Neck Tribe. Who's behind them? This is truly strange. I don't know when they'll make their move. But let's see who they really are. Narrowing his eyes, Joey rapidly sifted through possible suspects in his mind, considering all possibilities. Chapter 95, The Mastermind Boom. The ground shook as a deep crater formed from the impact. Counter stood in his half-beast form, gripping a long spear. Behind him, 500 warriors covered in black stood in formation. At this moment, both sides, the black-covered warriors and the pirates, stared down at each other. However, neither side made a move. The battle between the two leaders was about to begin. But no one dared to act rashly. First, there were no orders, and more importantly, if they clashed now, it wouldn't just be a small skirmish, it would ignite an all-out war. The towering man, built like an iron fortress, exhaled lightly before speaking in a sharp tone. Impressive. As expected from one of the Charlotte family's 5 generals. I've heard stories about your strength, but I never imagined it would be this terrifying. His voice carried genuine admiration. After all, he was already 31 years old. And yet, his strength was on par with the young Counter at bronze level 7. The 5 brothers, Opera, Counter, Cadenza, Cabaletta, and Gala. There are also others like Daifaku and Oven. After reaching bronze level 7 or 8, they had all hit a bottleneck. Breaking through that barrier would take time. After all, not everyone was a monster like Katakuri. Potential alone couldn't determine everything. Monsters would always be monsters. Counter grinned cruelly. Hey. Don't flatter me like that, Iron Tower. Are you mocking me? Iron Tower, Iron. Once the captain of the Iron Tower pirates. But now, Iron joined an unknown pirate crew. Who were they exactly? Even Counter wasn't sure. However, one thing was certain. Iron's strength was undeniable. His current bounty stood at 410.03 million Baileys, a solid bronze level 7. With his natural iron-like body and powerful armament haki, he could even go toe-to-toe with bronze level 8 or 9 fighters. It wasn't an exaggeration. The two had fought many times before. Yet, neither had ever managed to claim victory. That alone proved their strengths were completely evenly matched. And Counter knew this very well. Clutching his long spear tightly, he searched for a way to break the stalemate. He cursed internally, this is a pain. I just hope my big brother arrives faster than their backup. Otherwise, this is gonna be real trouble. Thinking about it, Counter felt like swearing out loud. Both sides were evenly matched right now. But on his side, he had to protect the Snake Neck Tribe. Generally speaking, his side was at a disadvantage. If things escalated into a full-blown battle, if rage took over, then things would spiral out of control. Which was why, neither of them made a move, locked in an intense standoff. However, both knew their reinforcements were close. And neither would back down when it came to the Snake Neck Tribe. The non-human races were naturally stronger than humans. Forget the Fishmen, Giants, Long-Arm Tribe, Long-Leg Tribe, and Minks, who were all renowned for their strength. Even races like the Three-Eyed Tribe or the Snake Neck Tribe possessed incredible talent. Hey, at that moment, a low, eerie chuckle echoed through the air. Instantly, Iron's expression darkened. He already knew. The enemy reinforcements had arrived. Figures began emerging from the shadows. Leading the way, Daifaku and Oven. Hey! Humphrey! Both men grinned menacingly. Clearly, they were brimming with killing intent. And then, a calm voice followed. Iron Tower, Iron. A man like you, being tamed by someone else? There aren't many in this world who could pull that off. At that moment, a voice rang out from behind them. Iron instantly knew who it was. His face turned grim. I never expected this. The head of the Charlotte family, Charlotte Joey, himself has arrived. This is truly unexpected. His eyes narrowed, but he didn't try to escape, and neither did his crew. One thing was clear, these pirates were elite fighters. Even knowing they were at a disadvantage, they didn't crumble. For pirates, that was rare. Many pirate crews, the moment they realized they were losing, they would scatter and flee. And that's exactly why the major powers never took pirates seriously. They were just tools to be used. An undisciplined, lawless bunch who just live for drinking, fighting, and indulging themselves. Would anyone truly respect such a force? What a joke. Taking them seriously would be an insult to oneself. Clap. Joey strode forward, with Daifuku and Oven following closely behind, like two towering giants. To be honest, Joey wasn't exactly short. At 180 centimeters, his height was pretty much ideal. But most of his siblings had grown far beyond normal limits. Not that Joey minded. Being 5 or 6 meters tall wasn't necessarily a good thing. Joey wasn't a fan of excessive height. Clap. Stopping in front of Iront, Joey smiled and said, "Mr. Iront, tell me who's behind you, and you can leave right now. Take all your men and go. After all, you haven't harmed my younger brother. You haven't hurt my family. So, I have no reason to fight you, no matter what your objective is." Hey, Iront sighed and said, "As expected of you, Joey. That kind of confidence and composure. It's something those worthless fools could never hope to match. But my captain is a man who seeks to conquer the world, a man with boundless ambition. How could I possibly betray him here?" He glanced at the Snakehead tribe and shook his head. "Even if I die, it doesn't matter. I've already sent out word. Taking the Snakehead tribe won't be easy. But I won't let my captain suffer more losses." Clap. Joey applauded in admiration. Loyalty. Strength. Strategy. A man who possesses both wisdom and bravery is truly rare, Iront. You are quite impressive. But can you guarantee the loyalty of those behind you? For them, betrayal might mean survival. That doesn't sound like a bad deal, does it? Ha ha, Iront laughed loudly. My brothers. I know them too well. There's no way they'd do something like that. No one answered Iront with words. But their sharp, determined gazes said everything. Daifuku's expression turned cold. "TCH, you really don't know what's good for you. Big brother was going to let you live, but you just had to keep running your mouth." As he spoke, Daifuku started rubbing his belt. A demonic figure materialized. Swoosh. The demon swung its massive blade, unleashing a terrifying gust of wind. As if it could cut down everything in its path. Hey, Iront merely smiled. "None of this matters anymore. I don't care if I die, as long as I can help my captain." Joey stopped Daifuku from making a move and said, "I can't deny it, your captain must have an incredible charisma to inspire such loyalty. But that's expected, isn't it? In this era, every major figure has that kind of charisma." Shaking his head, Joey didn't attack. Instead, he continued, "Golden Lion." In that instant, even though Iront tried to control his reaction, his eyes still shrank in shock. More importantly, even if Iront could suppress his emotions, what about the men behind him? They couldn't hide their reactions at all. At that moment, everyone turned to stare at Joey. Joey chuckled and said, "Looks like I got it right. It wasn't a hard guess. A man who seeks to conquer the world, who also possesses overwhelming charisma, there's only one real candidate. Golden Lion Shiki." Iront's face turned even more serious. "So you've figured it out. What now?" Joey shook his head. "No need to get so tense. I already told you, I don't plan on fighting you. Besides, whether we become enemies of the Golden Lion or not isn't up to me. It depends on him." Iront's expression grew heavier. He stared at the man before him. Charlotte Joey. On the surface, he seemed gentle, easygoing, like a friendly big brother. But only by facing him directly could one feel the sheer pressure he exuded. It wasn't just an illusion. It was real, tangible pressure. A force that gripped the soul. Huff, exhaling slowly, Iront knew. Silence was the best option. After all, no matter what he said, Joey would see right through him. With just a few words from Iront, Joey had already figured out who his captain was. That's right. Iront's captain was really Shiki. After the split at Hikinozu, Shiki had gone on to form the Flying Pirate crew. Interestingly enough, after assembling his crew, Shiki originally intended to take over Hikinozu. But he ran into the 3 group pirates, John, Wang Zi, and Silver Acts. The result? Shiki got completely beaten down by them. He was nearly killed. And honestly, that wasn't surprising. Shiki was only at Silver Rank 3. Against 3 warriors at Silver Rank 1 or 2. 3 versus 1. He was lucky to even survive. It really wasn't shocking at all. After that, Shiki was forced to reevaluate everything. He began building a true flying pirate crew. In the original story, Shiki led the flying pirates and nearly crushed Roger's crew, who were full of monsters, at sea. If they hadn't exhausted themselves in battle and gotten caught in a superstorm, Roger might never have become Pirate King. That alone proved it. Shiki's flying pirate crew was absolutely formidable. At the very least, a man like Iront was willing to follow Shiki without hesitation. "All right," Joey said. "Enough talking. There's no need to drag this out any longer." Iron's sharp gaze locked on Joey. He was ready to fight. He was even prepared to die here. But dying didn't mean he would just sit and wait for death. He would fight to the very end. In his mind, taking one down would be worth it. Taking two? Even better. That was Iron's resolve. Hey, Daifuku sneered, clearly ready to strike. Joey, however, lifted his head and smiled. Golden Lion. Are you really planning to keep hiding? Honestly, with such loyal men, you choose to lurk in the shadows? What? Huh? This. For a moment, everyone was stunned. Chapter 96, The Golden Lion Shiki Whoosh. At that moment, a figure descended from above. Jahahaha. A bold and hearty laugh, like that of a lion, echoed through the air. A man with long golden hair landed on the ground. Thud. Iron hurried over, his face filled with urgency. Captain, you? Jahahaha. Shiki roared with laughter. Iron. Are you expecting me to abandon you? Don't joke around. That would be an insult to me. I'm the Golden Lion. Do you really think I'd abandon my crew? I would never accept such a thing. His gaze then shifted to Joey, and he grinned. Besides, I'm curious to see, what can the head of the Charlotte family really do? His eyes narrowed slightly, and a sharp glint flashed within them. Bastard. You're asking for it. Majigiran. Genie ein rage split, heat denesi. Heat beating, Daifuku and Oven attacked simultaneously. Fools rushing in where they shouldn't. Against a silver rank level 3 opponent like Shiki, their mere bronze rank level 8 strength was nothing but reckless. They were throwing their lives away. But that didn't matter. What mattered was that they dared to act. Knowing when to retreat in the face of overwhelming strength was important. But failing to act out of fear, that was true disgrace. Jahahaha. Shiki laughed wildly. You think you can take me on with that level of power? How foolish. Facing their attacks, Shiki simply extended one hand. Shishi Odashi, Chaimaki. Lion's threat, Earthbind, rumble. The ground trembled violently. A terrifying shockwave spread out in all directions. The earth split open, forming roaring lion heads that surged forward to crush the two brothers. But then, slash. Suddenly, as if something had happened, or perhaps nothing at all of the lion heads were severed. Silence returned. Chunks of stone crumbled to the ground, yet an eerie sensation lingered in the air. Shiki narrowed his eyes, sensing that something was off. His body tensed with newfound vigilance. Ever since he'd been ambushed and beaten down by John, Wang's and Silver Axe, he'd become far more cautious. His once careless nature was gone. But just now, what exactly had happened? He had no idea. Not a clue. Not a single trace. Even his advanced observation hockey, in which he had immense confidence, failed to pick up anything. It felt as if something had happened, but at the same time, as if nothing had occurred at all. Something about it was deeply unsettling. Hey. Joey smiled warmly. Golden Lion, why so aggressive? My little brothers merely attacked first. And yet, here you are, a seasoned veteran, bullying the young? How shameful. My mother isn't even here to stop you. He shook his head in mock disappointment, as if he looked down on Shiki. Jahahaha. Shiki smirked. Oh? You should know that the seas don't run on words alone. This is a dangerous world. Clang. At the same moment, Shiki suddenly drew his blades. His twin swords flashed, their arcs slicing through the air with deadly precision. A piercing clang echoed all around. But once again, his attack vanished. What had just occurred? No one knew. Oh? Shiki locked eyes with Joey. Yet Joey merely kept his gentle smile. Golden Lion, do you really think I came out here relying solely on Daifuku and Oven? Don't get me wrong. My little brothers are talented, but they're still young. They haven't fully matured yet. He spread his arms wide. The Charlotte family didn't rise to power just because of my mother. There are other strong warriors among us. Warriors that even you, Golden Lion, might not be able to defeat. His eyes narrowed with absolute confidence. Not just him, Daifuku, Oven, and Counter all shared the same unshakable belief. In their family, they knew their strengths. Once, Joey had fought Linlin, but even she couldn't claim victory over Joey. The reason was that within 30 meters, Joey was invincible. In this vast ocean, unless an ancient monster like Imu appeared, nothing could threaten him. 47 elite bronze rank level 7 soldiers stood behind him. If they joined forces, no one could walk away unscathed. Shiki's sharp gaze darkened. Kid, are you trying to intimidate me? Joey chuckled. Intimidate you? I, Charlotte Joey, have never needed to intimidate anyone. Jahahaha. Shiki grinned. I see. You really are a remarkable man. To take the Charlotte family this far despite that crazy woman, You must be a monster yourself. Your ambition and mentality are terrifying. You seem ordinary at a glance. But, Shiki's eyes gleamed dangerously. Are you truly just an ordinary man? Joey smiled. Who knows? Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But one thing is certain, no one has ever been allowed to stand within 10 steps of me. That is my confidence. Clap. His 3 brothers stepped forward in unison. They weren't Shiki's match. But, they would never back down. They would always protect their family. Shiki's expression grew increasingly dangerous. He seemed to be weighing his options. Should he fight Joey? Or, should he consider what had just happened? Then, without warning, whoosh! Like a streak of light, Shiki lunged forward, his foot slamming into the ground as he shot toward Joey. Slash! His left hand gripped Hidden Sound Village, his right hand clutched Koga Arashi. The twin blades gleamed, aiming to cut Joey down. Daifuku, Oven, and Count attacked in unison. But before Shiki, they were still lacking. Even combined, they only managed to momentarily stall him. Then, one by one, they were pushed back. Or rather, they couldn't truly stop him. On this sea, there were countless strong warriors. But none were as troublesome as Shiki. His float fruit ability made him a nightmare to deal with. If he wasn't willing to fight to the death, no one in this world could capture him. Joey watched as Shiki got closer and sighed helplessly. Seriously, Golden Lion, going after a regular guy like me? How embarrassing. Clang. Clang. Just as Joey finished speaking, a crisp, melodious sound echoed. Shiki had been stopped just 10 meters away from Joey. In an instant, Shiki sensed countless attacks aimed at him. These sword strikes were sharp and ruthless. Even Shiki found it a bit troublesome. And the longer the battle went on, the more Shiki realized, there were simply too many of them. And the strangest part? He couldn't see them. He couldn't sense them. In the end, whoosh! Shiki retreated. But the moment he stepped back, his attackers didn't follow up. It was as if they had no intention of chasing him down. Shiki remained silent, returning to Iron's side. From start to finish, Joey had been smiling, his confident demeanor making Shiki uncomfortable. Yet, there was nothing he could do. No matter what he tried, Joey just stood there, untouched. Joey shook his head and sighed, what a pity. Looks like the mighty Golden Lion can't do anything to me today. Humphrey. Shiki scoffed and turned away coldly. I hope next time, you still have someone to protect you. Iron, we're leaving. Yes, Captain. Iron led their crew back to the pirate ship. Moments later, the pirate ship rose into the sky. Shiki and his crew finally departed. This man was always cautious. Without understanding Joey's true abilities, he wouldn't make an enemy of him. After all, for him, that crazy woman, Lin, was powerful, and becoming enemies with the Charlotte family would be a huge hassle. The Charlotte family's influence was massive right now, and it wouldn't be good for the flying pirates' future. High in the sky, Iron asked seriously, Captain, my observation hockey picked up some figures, but they disappeared almost instantly. It was like they were never there. That was too strange. Shiki nodded. Indeed. There were many of them, and their strength was on par with you and those 3 brats. The real issue is, how many of them are there? It's impossible to tell. But based on my senses, they were all women. Iron was stunned. Captain, even you couldn't detect them properly? To him, that was unbelievable. Golden Lion Shiki. One of the world's strongest men. And even he couldn't see through this? Sure, Shiki specialized in armament hockey, but his observation hockey wasn't weak either. For someone at his level, even if he wasn't a master of it, he shouldn't be completely clueless. Shiki shook his head. It's not that I couldn't see them. It's that their numbers were overwhelming, and their coordination was flawless. They attacked once, then immediately disappeared. Iron realized, so they strike once and retreat instantly. That explains it. However, Shiki raised a hand. I can't be sure whether these hidden figures were devil fruit users or something else entirely. Iron frowned. Captain, what do you mean? Shiki said calmly, there aren't many devil fruits that grant invisibility. The most well-known is the clear fruit. And the current user of that fruit is Charlotte Mundy, that little girl who's still on Fishman Island. So how did that man pull this off? No idea. Iron was at a loss. Yeah. It really was bizarre. Shiki shook his head. No need to dwell on it now. Until we interact with the Charlotte family again, we don't need to concern ourselves. Just have someone gather information on them. That'll be useful when the time comes. Iron nodded. Understood, Captain. Then he went off to handle things. Meanwhile, Shiki narrowed his eyes, gazing into the distance. He murmured, such a strange ability. Or rather, such a strange man. Which one is it? No one's ever seen him display this kind of power before. No wonder he dares to travel alone, with just his younger brothers. After a brief pause, Shiki suddenly laughed. Ha. What an interesting man. Completely hiding his true self. What exactly are you up to? This is just too interesting. Saying no more, Shiki simply felt more and more intrigued. This man was deeply hidden. If someone hid this much, they were either a recluse or they had boundless ambition. Anyone with a brain could tell, Joey wasn't the first option. Honestly, Shiki wasn't entirely sure if Joey had some hidden power or just had people protecting him. But Shiki trusted his instincts. He was certain this was Joey's own power. There was no definitive proof. Just a gut feeling. At Shiki's level, instincts mattered more than logic. Shiki murmured, "You. Hiding. So deeply concealed gut with strange power. Let's see what kind of storm you'll stir up when you finally emerge." Ha. Chapter 97, The Isolated Island Shiki had left. From beginning to end, Joey remained exceptionally calm. As if nothing had ever happened. Daifuku frowned and said seriously, "Big bro. The Golden Lion just left like that. Won't your abilities be exposed? The Silver Greatsword?" Joey's stand. Joey never hid anything from his family, there was no need to. Oven nodded. "Yeah, big bro. If he figures out your power, that could be a real problem." Joey replied calmly, "Don't worry. It's not a big deal. My ability is incredibly complex. Even if Shiki suspects something, he can't be sure. Besides, for strong people at his level, sometimes perception itself can be the most troublesome thing." He shook his head, dismissing any unnecessary thoughts. Seeing their big brother so composed, Daifuku and Oven also nodded in agreement. That was true. Their big brother's situation was so special. For now, it was best to set it aside. After all, the stand ability was incredibly unique. For outsiders, mastering it wasn't easy, or rather, this power didn't even belong to this world. Guessing it was just impossible. Clap. At that moment, an old man with an unusually long neck walked over respectfully and said, "Chief. Greetings." "Greetings." Joey turned around and smiled. "Elder, we finally meet. I sincerely apologize for putting you all in danger. This was a failure on the Charlotte family's part in protecting the citizens of Tato Land." "Nonsense." The elder of the Snake Neck tribe hurriedly said. "Chief, what are you saying? If it weren't for Lord Counter's arrival, our Snake Neck tribe would have either ended up as slaves." That was a fate too terrifying to even imagine. Compared to the Three-Eyed tribe, the Snakehead tribe's attitude was vastly different. Like night and day. Ha. Hearing this, Joey chuckled. "Elder, don't worry about such things. It's nothing. I'm sorry. If this were under normal circumstances, I would have held a banquet for you. However," he sighed helplessly, "I still have a ton of things to handle, so we'll have to postpone that for now." The elder immediately shook his head. "Chief. Your kindness is more than enough for our Snakehead tribe. But, as your citizens, it wouldn't be right for you to hold a banquet for us. Instead, we should be the ones hosting a feast for you." Ha. Joey responded warmly, "Counter, escort the elder and the entire Snake Neck tribe back to Tato Land safely." Counter nodded seriously. "Big bro. Don't worry. I've already made the necessary preparations." Soon, after exchanging a few pleasantries, the Snake Neck elder and his tribe got busy under Counter's guidance. Their efficiency was impressive. In just 3 hours, the entire Snake Neck tribe was ready to set sail. Counter approached Joey quickly. "Big bro. I'll be heading out now. Opera has also arrived, so I need to move fast." Joey smiled. "Be careful on the way. If anything happens, just leave immediately." Clap. He patted Counter's shoulder, sighing. "You little brats are all getting taller than me." It was undeniable. Most of Joey's brothers were over 2 meters tall. And himself? Standing at 180 centimeters with a perfectly balanced physique, a handsome face, and long pink hair, always dressed in luxurious attire. Counter thumped his chest. "Big bro. What are you saying? No matter what, I'm still your little brother. You'll always be my big bro. I will definitely complete my mission." With that, Counter left. Joey simply shook his head and smiled, sighing. These little brats are really growing up. The future of our family is looking stronger and stronger. Ha. Daifuku and Oven grinned. Their belief was unwavering, the family would only keep getting stronger. Why? Because their big brother existed. Because their brothers and sisters worked together. And that was all that mattered. Russell, watching Counter leave, Joey asked, "What about Mom?" "No, wait. Katakuri, has he returned yet?" He originally wanted to ask about their mother. But, Considering how unreliable she could be, he decided to check on Katakuri instead. Moscato, who was standing behind him, answered, "Big bro. We got word from Katakuri. They'll arrive at the meeting point in 2 days." Knowing the timeline, Joey said, "Then we should set off too." "No problem." Ha ha ha. The siblings got to work. Russell, soon, the ship set sail. Standing at the bow, Joey murmured, "Golden Lion. What exactly will you do? I don't fear being exposed, but what decision will you make? Will you spread the news? Will you stay silent? Or will you investigate me in secret?" Ha ha ha, he chuckled to himself and shook his head. "Whatever. I don't need to worry about his plans. The current Golden Lion isn't a threat. If it were his full-fledged flying pirates, then I'd be more cautious." Joey never believed that a single person could dominate the entire world. Unless they were truly at an invincible level. After some thought, Joey decided to stop dwelling on it. The family system. As the name implied, it was all about growing the family's strength. As long as the family flourished, the chief would become powerful enough. And that was the most crucial thing. He knew exactly what needed to be done. Moving forward, the ship sailed at full speed. From the Snakehead tribe's hideout to the designated island, it took about 2 days. Russell, boom. As the ship docked and Joey's group disembarked, Katakuri and the others had yet to arrive. Roar. Howl. Arriving at night, they were greeted by the roars of wild beasts. Clearly, this was an island ruled by wildlife. Joey scanned the surroundings. There's not a single trace of human life here. His observation hockey wasn't particularly strong. But, for a small island like this, a quick scan was enough. Islands generally fell into 3 categories: small islands, like this one, big enough to house 10,000 people at most. Medium islands, suitable for building nations, capable of housing millions. Tato Land's 36 islands were all medium-sized. Large islands, such as Dressrosa, enormous landmasses that could accommodate tens of millions, often controlled by powerful nations. Alvin nodded and said, "Big bro. We've checked the island thoroughly. There's no trace of anyone. It's safe." "All right." Joey nodded. "Set up some camps. We'll wait here for a while." Daifuku and Alvin immediately got to work. Nussstort continued his intense training. That kid was extremely hardworking. However, Joey made sure the ship's doctor followed him to prevent any serious injuries. Cornstarch and Moscato were buried in books, absorbing knowledge taught by their teachers. Once the camp was set up, everyone settled in for the night. The next day, as the first light of dawn broke, Joey heard the sound of a ship approaching. He immediately got up. The others were already awake as well. Daifuku, Alvin, and the rest of the siblings stood quietly, watching the rapidly approaching pirate ship. The Queen Mama Chanter. The ship sped towards them. Standing at the bow was none other than their mother, her belly visibly swollen from pregnancy. Joey frowned, deep in thought. Mom should be pregnant with the 12th and 13th daughters, Mozart and Marnier. Joey decided not to dwell on it. This wasn't the so-called original story anymore, it was a completely new world. His mother was a living, breathing person. It was only natural that things wouldn't follow the original timeline exactly. After all, he'd acquired many devil fruits that were never supposed to be in his hands according to the original story. Swoosh. With a leap, Linlin jumped straight at him. Joey sighed helplessly, saying, "Mom. Calm down. You're pregnant. You need to be careful for yourself and the babies." Linlin beamed, "It's fine. It's fine. Mommy's body is super strong. Besides, Joey is worrying about me? That makes Mommy so happy." Sigh. Joey sighed in resignation. "Mom, when have I not worried about you? Honestly." His mother was incredibly powerful, but she was also quite dense. And because of that, Joey had to be extra vigilant. What if someone tried to kidnap her? Meanwhile, Katakuri and the others disembarked. "Big bro." They all greeted him enthusiastically. Still trapped in his mother's embrace, Joey just smiled and said, "Welcome back." They all nodded. Joey looked at Katakuri and said warmly, "Katakuri, you did great." Katakuri smiled. "Big bro. I only did what I was supposed to do." From Katakuri's perspective, he simply fulfilled his duty. He was meant to be the invincible man of the family. Did such a man even need praise? Shaking his head, Joey said, "That's exactly how it should be." "But, did you run into any problems on your way back?" He was asking Katakuri, but also addressing everyone. Cracker scratched his head and replied, "We ran into quite a few pirate groups trying to claim Fishman Island. But they were just trash. The real issue is that Katakuri kept feeling like someone was watching us. But every time we tried to investigate, we couldn't find anything." Joey didn't let his guard down. Kitakuri's observation haki was terrifyingly powerful. It was on an entirely different level. Sure, he hadn't yet fully mastered the ability to see into the future. But if Kitakuri felt like someone was watching them, then someone definitely was. After a moment of thought, Joey said, "It's probably the world government. We made quite the commotion that time. Those pirates weren't just sent by the celestial dragons, the 5 elders sent spies to keep an eye on us too. But don't worry. They won't confront us directly." On this point, Joey was absolutely certain. A lot of battles could happen in the shadows. But some things could never be brought into the open. Chapter 98, Kitakuri's Stand. Invincible Death. Then, with a helpless sigh, Joey said, "Mom, can you put me down first? I still have things to do." Woo. Linlin pouted in displeasure but eventually let Joey go. Joey shook his head, sighing in exasperation, but there was nothing he could do. After all, this was his mother. Next, Joey reached into his pocket and took out a small vial of liquid. He tossed it to Kitakuri and said, "Kitakuri, this is called the demi-human serum, Aizen. It has a very special effect. If someone dies, as long as a part of them remains, they can revive." Huh? Hearing Joey's words, everyone was stunned. They weren't fools, they immediately understood the implication behind his statement. Gulp. But without hesitation, Kitakuri downed the serum in one go. After drinking it, he said, "If Big Brother says so, then there's no problem." Then, without hesitation, Kitakuri gripped his trident, and before anyone could react, splurt. He thrust it straight through his own throat. Blood dripped onto the ground. Kitakuri's consciousness seemed to fade. But in the next moment, the wound healed instantly. The trident was pushed out of his body. Someone who had just lost their life had come back to life. Huff, exhaling deeply, Kitakuri acted as if nothing had happened. "Big Brother," he chuckled. "I'm a demi-human, Aizen, now." Joey didn't say a word but responded with a soft laugh. He closed his eyes, lost in thought. His eyes felt a little misty. Trust. What kind of trust was this? This wasn't about something trivial. It was about life and death. Kitakuri had taken his word without hesitation, willing to risk his own life. Absolute trust. His younger brother trusted him completely. As an older brother, that was more than enough. Huff, Joey exhaled deeply and shook his head. "All right. Enough about this. Of course, the gift I gave you is real, you little punk. Did you seriously have to test it? Have I ever given you anything fake?" Ha ha ha. Hearing Joey's words, Kitakuri scratched his head, looking slightly embarrassed. Only in front of Joey could Kitakuri show a childlike side of himself. Joey smiled. "All right, enough messing around. Get some rest. We should get going soon. Prospero informed me that a pirate crew has also received information and is heading for the same place." Got it. Everyone nodded seriously. They understood, their big brother was holding something back. But they didn't say anything. Instead, they simply exchanged knowing smiles. Joey shook his head, unwilling to dwell on it. But then, suddenly, "Og!" Kitakuri let out a deafening roar, his entire aura turning overwhelmingly terrifying. "What's happening? What's wrong? Huh?" Everyone turned to Kitakuri in alarm. Joey's expression tensed. Could there be a problem with the demi-human serum? But that was impossible. The system had verified it, there shouldn't be any issues at all. Staring at Kitakuri, Joey's gaze sharpened. Everyone looked at their brother, unsure of what to say. "Kitakuri?" Linlin also looked at her son in concern. Without a doubt, Linlin favored Joey the most, but that didn't mean she didn't love her other children. It was just that Joey was more mature. Always acting like a little adult. With Joey, Linlin could show her childish side. But as a mother, she still had to act like a parent to her other kids. No parent wanted to be treated like a child by their own children. That was just how parents were. Compote quickly asked, "Big Brother, what's going on? What's happening to Kitakuri?" Joey raised a hand. He gestured for everyone to stay calm. Then, he stepped forward and spoke slowly, "Focus your mind. Tell yourself what it is you truly want. Center your spirit. You have trained in meditation jutsu to some extent, you should have some control over your mind. The body technique trained the body. The meditation jutsu trained the spirit." Joey had checked with the system. Meditation jutsu could only be improved up to silver rank 9, requiring 1000 achievement points to upgrade. He hadn't upgraded it yet. "Alright. Big bro." Kitakuri was in extreme pain, as if he was enduring something unbearable. "Ha." He gasped heavily, gradually restraining his spirit, making it condense. Slowly, Kitakuri's will gradually merged into one. It fully solidified over time. A faint, invisible aura spread from Kitakuri's body. Everyone quietly waited. They could all feel it. Katakuri seemed to be undergoing an amazing transformation. Finally, Joey saw a shadowy figure emerging behind Katakuri. A black phantom. Soon, the figure just dissipated. In its place, a streak of dark purple light appeared. Boom. Gradually, that terrifying power condensed, forming a solid entity. Roar. The terrifying force let out an earth-shaking roar. Katakuri also unleashed a terrifying scream. From his eyes, a dark purple shockwave erupted. It spread wildly in all directions. When Katakuri calmed down, everything returned to silence. Everyone looked at each other, not knowing what to do. They had no idea what had just happened. Compote pondered and said, Katakuri's situation is very special. Big bro, it seems like you can see it. Is this what you call a stand? At that moment, everyone froze. They then also assumed this was their big bro's ability. Joey then spoke, that's right, it's a stand. Katakuri awakened his stand through sheer will. In fact, when someone in the family awakens a stand, those of the same bloodline are very likely to awaken one as well. Essentially, all of you can awaken stands. Everyone's breathing grew rapid. The silver greatsword? Everyone knew this was Big Bro's stand. How incredible, how terrifying it was. Seeing everyone's expressions, Joey sighed helplessly. I originally didn't plan to tell you this. When you actively try to awaken it, it becomes more difficult. A stand is the manifestation of one's spirit, and it only awakens when your spirit reaches a certain threshold. Katakuri's willpower and belief reached their peak, which is why he awakened his stand. Now, shaking his head, he continued, trying to awaken your stands deliberately will only make it harder. Not knowing is actually beneficial to you. Everyone scratched their heads. They all knew Joey truly meant well. Awakening a stand wasn't as simple as it seemed. What? You want to mention the Joestar family? Get lost. Is that family even normal? The people in that family are just naturally overpowered, alright? That family is like a walking cheat code in the stand world. It's not a fair comparison. Just then, Katakuri had fully recovered. He walked forward and said, Big bro. I'm fine now. Joey nodded, looking warmly at Katakuri. Katakuri, can you see the silver greatsword? As he spoke, Joey summoned the silver greatsword. After carefully observing it, Katakuri finally sighed, so this is the true form of the greatsword? Seeing it with my own eyes for the first time, it's quite different from what I saw using observation hockey. Joey reflected, as expected. Only stand users can see stands. Your stand is now fully awakened. Summon it so I can take a look. Katakuri nodded, no problem, big bro. Invincible death. As Katakuri chanted. Instantly, dark purple energy exploded forth. At that moment, everyone felt the overwhelming presence of death emerging. It was a stand towering at 5 meters. Its body was massive. Fully clad in dark purple medieval knight armor. Aside from that, it wielded a long sword in its left hand and a short sword in its right. Just one glance made it clear. This was an incredibly powerful combat-oriented stand. Joey murmured, System. Show me Katakuri's stats and stand panel. Charlotte Katakuri, Identity, 3rd son of the Charlotte family, Vice Captain of the Big Mom Pirates. Strength, Silver level 1 potential, Platinum level 9 abilities, Permsha type Machi Machi no Mi stand, Invincible death description, the absolute pillar of the Charlotte family. At only a young age, he possesses incredible potential. Not only has he awakened a stand, but he also has a devil fruit akin to a Logia type, along with mastery over all 3 forms of hockey. His skills have already reached the pinnacle. With steady growth, he will rise to the top of the world. Stand, Invincible death, Destructive power, a speed, B precision, a growth potential, fully matured endurance, a range, C. Joey examined Katakuri and Invincible death's details. He was stunned. A stand that was already fully matured from the start? Honestly, even Joey wasn't sure what to make of such a stand. He immediately asked the system, what's the deal with Invincible death? Invincible death's abilities are fully developed. However, its true potential depends on its user. Its abilities are maxed out and won't grow further. Instead, its growth is determined by its master's strength. Joey immediately understood. A stand's abilities. Typically, they evolve over time. For example, Star Platinum and a World's time-stopping abilities. Both of them grew stronger alongside their users. But Katakuri's Invincible death? Its abilities were set in stone. So there was no further growth. However, as Katakuri became stronger, Invincible death's capabilities would be fully realized. For example, if Invincible death had the ability to slay crystal-level beings. Right now, because of Katakuri's current strength, it could only operate within the silver level. Joey looked at Katakuri and asked, how do you feel? Katakuri shook his head, big bro. I can sense a lot, but it's fragmented. I think I need time to fully grasp Invincible Death's power and abilities. Hey, Joey said warmly, no rush, take your time. A stand's power isn't something you can master overnight. I still don't know if my great sword has an ability or if this is all there is to it. Shaking his head helplessly, even Joey felt a bit troubled. Maybe his great sword really was just a numbers advantage, with no extra abilities at all. Chapter 99, Pika Pika no Mi Invincible Death. This was Katakuri's awakened stand ability. It was also the second stand ability to awaken within the entire Charlotte family. With his demi-human bloodline, the power of the Machi Machi no Mi, and his stand, Invincible Death, you could say Katakuri now lacked nothing. All he needed was to fully unleash his potential. That was the most important thing. As for anything else, it wasn't particularly important. Splash, the ship sailed across the vast ocean. Joey lounged on the sofa, seemingly reading a book. But Joey wasn't really reading. He was lost in thought about something else. In truth, he was considering stand abilities. Deep in thought, he mused, as expected. My initial decision was the right one for paying a high price. If someone else had bought the arrows, that would have been a huge loss for me. He couldn't help but sigh in relief. Even he had to admit, compared to the importance of family techniques like the body and meditation, the 3 arrows he had purchased were far more crucial. Each of these 3 arrows had immense value. Those who awakened their stand abilities could potentially use the Requiem arrow to achieve Requiem level power in the future. Meanwhile, the regular arrow and soul arrow could be stored away as valuable assets. Stand abilities were of unparalleled importance. Their strength depended entirely on the user's mental willpower. Even if the world itself limited the potential of stand abilities. But in a strong enough individual's hands, a stand's power could reach godlike levels. It was downright broken. Whoosh, Joey exhaled deeply, murmuring, Katakuri has also awakened his stand. That makes 2 members of our family now. This proves my theory was right. Now, it's only a matter of time before the rest of those brats awaken their own stands. A satisfied grin spread across his face. He had chosen his path wisely. It wasn't enough for just him to be strong. Unless he became overwhelmingly powerful to the point of suppressing everything, but that wasn't realistic. Joey knew himself well. He wasn't naturally gifted. Whether in training or combat, he lacked that so-called indomitable will or extraordinary talent. Instead, he was a strategist. A mastermind who knew where his strengths lay. And he was very aware of his own limits. Clap. Joey looked up as Katakuri approached. With a smile, he asked, what's up, Katakuri? Big bro. Katakuri sat down, frowning. It feels weird. It's like I suddenly have an extra arm. Invincible Death. Feels like another limb, completely natural to use. Hey. Joey chuckled, that's normal. A stand is like a highly advanced machine. You don't need complicated commands to control it. For example, snap. Joey snapped his fingers. Clang. 2 great swords materialized and immediately began clashing. He explained, these swords fight entirely on instinct. All I do is give a simple order. But since they are an extension of me, they can use armament hockey, observation hockey, and even the sword techniques I've mastered. Katakuri carefully observed the battle between the swords. Just as Joey had said, the 2 swords fought seamlessly, utilizing hockey and various sword techniques in real time. I see now. Katakuri nodded in understanding. Joey continued, the second method is to manually control your stand. But in the heat of battle, this might actually weaken your performance. You need to trust your stand, it's crucial. Katakuri pondered for a moment, then said, big bro, I got it. I'll go experiment some more. Joey nodded. Go ahead. Katakuri laughed. But another figure crept closer, sneaking around. Joey shook his head. Daifuku. You sneaky little brat. If you have a question, just ask. You're not the first one, you know. He. Daifuku, usually so cold and serious, let out an awkward laugh. Joey sighed. Honestly, Daifuku wasn't the first to ask. Including him, pretty much everyone had came to inquire about stand abilities. Even Linlin. She had even tried to act cute, begging him to awaken her stand. But Joey refused outright. No way. If someone without the suited potential used the regular or soul arrow, they could actually die. So, he didn't dare risk it. Under Joey's watchful gaze, Daifuku finally sat down and eagerly asked, big bro. How do stands awaken? Joey explained, it's actually pretty simple. Katakuri awakened his stand by maintaining an invincible mindset. At that moment, his willpower reached its limit, and his mind and spirit merged into one. Because of this unyielding belief, his stand, Invincible Death, was born. For you guys, no matter what, you need a strong resolve. Stands are abilities formed from one's willpower. If your mind wavers, you won't be able to unleash your stand's true potential. Oh. Daifuku nodded in understanding. But, Joey wasn't sure if he really got it. Still, it was good for him to start thinking about it. Understanding oneself was an essential step. Daifuku mulled over what he had learned before heading off. Joey watched him go, thinking, looks like Daifuku might have understood something. Unlike the others, who had left completely confused, Daifuku had stopped to contemplate. That was already progress. But, would he succeed? That was another matter entirely. Awakening a stand wasn't easy, it required unwavering willpower. Once again, the Joestar family. That bloodline was cheating. Those people were monsters. Seriously, have you ever seen an entire family where everyone was a stand user? It was absurd. Every single direct blood relative had a stand. That family was just straight up unnatural. After explaining everything, Joey left it up to his younger siblings. Whether they succeeded or not was their problem now. With his brothers and sisters settling down, Joey returned to his reading and sword practice. The two ships sailed rapidly towards the next destination. This time, the third objective of their journey awaited them. The Three-Eye Tribe. The Snake Neck Tribe. Both were easily dealt with. And next. The third target, the Shining Fruit, Light Fruit. They had already heard about this devil fruit, but its exact location had remained uncertain. Now that they had received solid information, Joey and Katakuri regrouped. Because opposite the devil fruit stood a formidable opponent. To claim the fruit, they would have to face this adversary. As they sailed, their speed increased significantly. After just 2 days, they were approaching the island. Clap. Compote quickly walked up to Joey and said, "Big brother. We're almost there." Putting down his book, Joey looked up and smiled. "Compote, how do you feel?" Sigh. With a helpless sigh, Compote shook her head. "Big brother. I don't feel anything special, but Daifuku seems to sense something. However, he can't explain it properly, just that he's trying to grasp it." Understanding the situation, Joey nodded. That's not unusual. After all, stand abilities are unique and take time to develop. Don't worry. Eventually, everyone will awaken their stand. Shaking her head, Compote then said seriously, "Big brother. We're about to reach the island, and the enemy's speed matches ours. I estimate they'll arrive soon." Joey said casually, "Looks like we'll have to fight again." Compote replied, "It seems so. A battle is inevitable." Joey sighed with mild frustration. "Honestly, I'm not that interested in fighting. But these pirates. Convincing them to hand over something willingly is always a hassle." Hearing her brother's complaint, Compote simply shook her head. "Big brother, let's be real. That's impossible. Pirates are insane. Either you kill them, or they kill you. No pirate would just hand over a treasure." Joey nodded calmly. That was indeed the nature of pirates. If they simply gave everything away, would they even be pirates anymore? That would just make them pushovers. If they were that kind of people, they wouldn't have become pirates in the first place. Thinking for a moment, Joey asked, "How's Katakuri doing?" Compote answered, "Katakuri is steadily improving his control over his stand. However, he still hasn't fully grasped its abilities. According to him, he has a vague idea, but every time he tries to confirm it, he gets confused." "Hey." Joey chuckled. "That's normal. Stand abilities aren't something you can fully understand overnight." Shaking his head in amusement, Joey continued, "Stands may seem simple on the surface, but when you truly possess one, you realize just how unique they are. Controlling them isn't easy." Katakuri's Invincible Death was a stand with immense growth potential. It was obvious. A stand like that would be even harder to master. Compote sighed. "Nothing we can do about it. That's just Katakuri's nature. He always thinks he can push himself further." Joey thought for a moment and said, "That's not a bad thing. Katakuri isn't wrong to push himself, but he needs to be mindful of his physical and mental limits. Pushing too far could lead to a breakdown." Compote nodded. "Don't worry, big brother. The training of Lady Skathak always pushes us to the limit, but never to the point of breaking." Good. Joey fully trusted the training methods. To be precise, Skathak was an incredible teacher who had trained numerous heroes, leaving a lasting impact on the entire Celtic mythology. She was a perfect mentor. Her training plans were astonishingly precise. Every session pushed them to their limits, without ever crossing into collapse. That was the brilliance of her training regimen. Oh, right. Compote suddenly recalled something. She smacked her forehead and said, "Big brother. Neptune wants to arrange a political marriage with you." "A marriage?" Joey was momentarily stunned before blurting out, "But he doesn't have a daughter yet, does he?" "What, Is he offering me his wife? Compote gave Joey a weird look, surprised by her brother's unexpected remark. Smack. Joey playfully knocked her on the head and laughed. What nonsense are you thinking? I'm not into that. Just tell me what's going on. He rubbing her head with a mischievous grin, Compote said, Neptune plans to have his future daughter marry you. Even though she hasn't been born yet, he said he'll try hard to have one. Joey nodded in understanding. I see. That's fine. I have no objections to this arrangement. Princess Shirahoshi, huh? There was no reason to refuse, not just because she was a beauty. But more importantly, by marrying into the royal family of Ryugu Kingdom, he could secure their loyalty. A political marriage would solidify their alliance. It was the perfect solution. He'd gain a beautiful wife and a kingdom. Why would he say no? Chapter 100, The Whitebeard Pirates Splash. What the hell is that? Pirates. Is it the Big Mom Pirates? Run for your lives. Panic erupted as frantic screams filled the air. People scattered, scrambling to hide wherever they could. Fear gripped them as they peeked at the unfolding scene, their bodies trembling. It was terrifying, absolutely horrifying. After all, this was the Big Mom Pirates. Forget how powerful Lin was. Charlotte Katakuri, this man once fought off an entire army on Fishman Island, slaying tens of thousands of pirates. Just thinking about it sent shivers down their spines. It was no exaggeration to say that among the remnants of the Rocks Pirates, the Big Mom Pirates, the Flying Pirates, the Whitebeard Pirates, the Three-Body Pirates are the alliance of John, Silver Axe, and Wang Zi. All of these crews emerged after the collapse of the infamous Rocks Pirates. Yet, without a doubt, the most formidable among them was the Big Mom Pirates. There was simply no comparison. While others were still trying to establish themselves, Lin had already paved a new path alongside her children. They were on an entirely different level. Splash, boom. A ship slowly docked at the shore. Joey issued an order, spread the word, our mission is to search for devil fruits. Do not harm the civilians. Understood, boss. Got it. Everyone nodded in agreement. If the Big Mom Pirates had come alone, they could do whatever they pleased. But now? Not an option. The Charlotte family was present. They couldn't afford to tarnish their name with unnecessary bloodshed. That would be a disaster. Hashi and Deathly led their squads, beginning the search for devil fruits, but only searching. Moreover, Joey had given clear instructions, if a devil fruit was found in someone's possession, they would offer to buy it for 1 billion Baileys. To put that into perspective, on the black market, a single devil fruit was already worth that much. Of course, certain fruits, like Logia types, mythical zones, or the Opope Nomi, had unpredictable prices. They could easily surpass 3 billion Baileys. Sir. Do you happen to own a devil fruit? Ma'am. Do you have one? The black-clad crew members went door to door, inquiring with serious expressions. As the civilians observed, they slowly realized something, the Big Mom Pirates weren't attacking them. And more importantly, 1 billion Baileys. That kind of money could set them and their future generations up for life. Naturally, they started helping with the search. Word spread quickly, one person told 10, 10 told 100, 100 told 1,000, before long, nearly the entire population of this small town, about 10,000 people, was actively looking for devil fruits. So that's how it works. Cornstarch nodded, her cute little head bobbing. This is what Big Brother meant by the power of ordinary people. They don't understand much, but they make perfect tools. A little favor or reward is all it takes to get them to obey. Moscato agreed, but sis, these outsiders are just tools. Our people in Tato land are different. Big Brother said it himself, only our citizens are truly ours. Clearly, these two young siblings were beginning to grasp Joey's methods for manipulating the masses. Their older brothers and sisters watched them, a bit concerned. They wanted to correct them, but, the problem was, no one here was particularly skilled in diplomacy. They were all brutes and warriors. Joey walked up behind the two little ones, speaking gently, you've misunderstood something. In this world, apart from family, everyone is a tool. But just like swords are ranked into supreme grade, great grade, and skillful grade, you wouldn't use a supreme grade sword to cut a watermelon, would you? Huh? The two kids looked confused. Joey elaborated, that's why different situations call for different tools. You must learn to use them wisely. Solving problems with brute force is the lowest form of resolution. Of course, absolute power is an exception. Cornstarch tilted her head. Big Brother, why is absolute power an exception? Joey smiled warmly. Because when you have the power to destroy an entire world by yourself, nothing else matters. Oh. I see. The two kids nodded eagerly, as if suddenly enlightened. One person, however, took those words to heart, Kitakuri clenched his fists tightly. He would become the absolute power of his family. No matter what happened, he would always be there to protect them. Yet, Kitakuri himself hadn't noticed that as his indomitable will continued to solidify, his stand had begun radiating an ominous dark purple energy. Beneath the heavy, fully enclosed knight armor, only his eyes were visible. For a fleeting moment, a crimson glow flickered in them before vanishing. Splash! Just then, the sound of crashing waves and approaching ships filled the air. Everyone immediately turned to look. Why were only Hashi and Defili searching for the devil fruit? Because the others were staying behind to welcome their incoming guests. Mundi stepped in front of Nustort, Mash, Cornstarch, and Moscato, ensuring their protection. The others sharpened their gazes. Joey, however, smiled warmly and said, "No need to be so tense, little ones. As long as my stand is here, my siblings will never be in danger." Phew, Mundi exhaled deeply, finally relaxing. "I almost forgot. Big Bro's great sword is something special." Even so, Mundi didn't leave. Neither did the others, their expressions easing into smirks. Joey was pleased with the sight. Nothing else mattered. Family, that was the most important thing. His gaze then shifted to the approaching ship, which resembled a massive whale. "Oh?" Joey raised an eyebrow with interest. "So, they've already built the Moby Dick?" That was fast. Indeed, the newcomers were none other than the Whitebeard pirates. In fact, when Joey first caught wind of the shining fruit, the Whitebeard pirates had also received word. It was just a coincidence that both parties had ended up meeting here. Not that Joey was afraid. Against the flying pirates, he hadn't feared Golden Lion even when he had only brought Daifuku and Oven along. And now? Against the Whitebeard pirates, he wasn't afraid either. Linlin, Kitakuri, Compote, Cracker, Daifuku, Oven, all top-tier fighters of the Charlotte family were present, except for the 5 generals, Prospero, Amand, and a few others. Who should fear whom? If a real fight broke out, Joey wouldn't hesitate to scrap whatever plans he had for the Whitebeard pirates. He'd just wipe them out right here and now. Plans could always be adjusted. But, his siblings must never suffer. Gorura, Edward Newgate burst into hearty laughter upon seeing the situation on shore. A smirk tugged at his lips. Well. I didn't expect to run into you lot here. Pops. The members of the Whitebeard pirates gathered, their gazes sharp and focused. Clearly, Marco, Jazu, Thatch, Vista, and the others had already joined the Whitebeard pirates within the past year. And, although Marco and Jazu were still relatively inexperienced, the others were far from weak. A true powerhouse could be recognized from a young age. The Whitebeard pirates had fought toe-to-toe with Roger's monstrous crew for 3 days and nights. Were the Whitebeard pirates weak? Were the flying pirates weak? If they were, then the 3 great pirate crews title would be meaningless. Standing beside Joey, Kitakuri spoke sharply, "Big Bro. The enemy's ships were built in advance. Whitebeard used the wealth he took from the Rocks pirates when they split up." Sigh. Joey shook his head. What a shame. If the Rocks pirates had been united, they might have won the God Valley War. Too bad that crew was full of scheming actors. Undoubtedly, besides a few die-hard loyalists, most Rocks members had been slacking off, putting on a show rather than fighting for real. Kitakuri added, Rocks ruled through violence. He had no real charisma to unite them. It was bound to fail. Joey nodded. You're right. But still, this is a hassle. His eyes narrowed slightly, a glint of sharpness flashing through them. Then, in an instant, he returned to his usual refined demeanor. Call him a hypocrite, call him a schemer, Joey didn't care. No ruler ever revealed their true self to the world. And besides, he wasn't living a lie. He only showed his true self to his family. Soon, the Moby Dick had fully docked. Gorura, standing at the bow, Edward Newgate laughed. Joey, brat. We meet again. If I count correctly, this is our 3rd meeting, isn't it? Evidently, Edward knew that in this place, Joey was the true leader, while Big Mom, Linlin was merely a figurehead. Moreover, his sharp gaze flickered, as if considering something. Hee, Joey chuckled elegantly. Whitebeard, don't say that. We've only met twice, once when I was a kid, and now. Where's this 3rd time coming from? Trying to test me? Don't be ridiculous. I'm no fool. Some things should only be said in Tato land. Otherwise, walls have ears. Did he really think Charlotte Joey was just some clueless kid? Inwardly Joey was sneering at Whitebeard. Gorura, Edward laughed again. Twice it is. So, brat, are you here to stop me from getting the shining fruit? Joey shook his head casually. Why call it stopping? The devil fruit belongs to whoever finds it first. Do you expect me to just hand it over to you? As Edward's words hung in the air, Joey finished speaking. The atmosphere grew heavy. Crack. Katakuri, Compote, Cracker, and Mundi all tightened their grips on their weapons. Daifuku and Oven narrowed their eyes, ready to strike at any moment. There weren't many of them, but their strength was undeniable. Likewise, the Whitebeard pirates radiated an intense aura. Their eyes gleamed with killing intent. Clearly, they had no intention of holding back. If a fight broke out, it would be all-out war. Humphrey. Edward smirked. Brat, are you planning to fight me? Fight? Joey shook his head. That word is too casual, Whitebeard. You can't afford the consequences of warring against the Charlotte family. There are some in this world who could, but your crew isn't one of them. Joey's tone was gentle. But beneath that soft demeanor lay absolute arrogance and unwavering confidence. A mere pirate? Thinking of waging war against the Charlotte family? How laughable. Chapter 101, Violence is still the solution. Silence. Utter stillness. The atmosphere between both sides turned eerily tense. Standing with his hands behind his back, Joey looked as if he were just a nobleman on vacation, a faint smile on his lips as he gazed warmly at the people in front of him. But, no one dared to underestimate this man. What he was capable of could be terrifying beyond imagination. No one knew just how much power this man truly held. Joey's smile deepened as he spoke calmly. Whitebeard, it's time for you to leave. This ends here. Gorrura. Edward laughed heartily. You think this is where it ends? I'm Whitebeard. If I just gave up without even trying, what kind of pirate would I be? Sigh. Joey let out a helpless breath. This is such a hassle. But even as he spoke, swish. Edward lunged at him like a storm, but Joey didn't even flinch. Boom. The two figures clashed. Murakamagiri. Napoleon. In an instant, a terrifying shockwave exploded into the sky, parting the heavens themselves. Powerful energy rippled outward, spreading across the sea. Waves were sliced apart as the two unleashed their full strength. Still, despite their might, neither had reached their peak yet. Based on Joey's calculations, Linlin's peak power was likely around Silver Rank 5. Edward or Roger, these monsters at their prime were likely around Silver Rank 6. But over time, due to various factors, their strength had stabilized at Silver Rank 5. Still, at this moment, the sheer intensity of their battle was enough to shake the entire battlefield. Crackle. The fight had begun in full force. Naginata Reisetsu. Cognac. Swish. With a flick of their wrists, they unleashed overwhelming power. The force of their attacks was enough to shake the world, tear the sea apart, even obliterate entire islands. Yet, in their hands, such destructive power felt natural. The clash of blades continued at a blistering pace. Gorrura. Edward laughed excitedly. Crazy woman. I'm not interested in you. It's your son I'm after. Mama. Mama Linlin cackled with a twisted grin. You dare go after my Joey? I'll kill you, Whitebeard. You bastard, how dare you target my precious son? The sky crackled with thunder as her rage ignited. Her hair turned into blazing flames, and dark clouds swirled above, unleashing a torrent of lightning. The ground itself erupted into an inferno. And then, she swung her sword down with full force. Linlin wasn't holding back. Edward cursed under his breath. Crazy old hag. But he didn't dare be careless. He immediately went all out to counter her attack. Keishin, Seaquake. Their battle erupted anew. All around them, everyone else quickly retreated. Who in their right mind would want to get caught between these two maniacs? That would be suicide. Other than Katakuri, no one dared to linger too close. Even enduring the shockwaves from their fight was dangerous. Swish. Katakuri moved smoothly through the battlefield, effortlessly cutting down Whitebeard's men. Holding back? Ha. Not a chance. Katakuri was ruthless. Every strike was meant to kill, no mercy, no hesitation. Damn it. Stop, you bastard. You son of a... Thatch, Vista, Blomenko, and Rakuyo charged at him all at once. But, boom. With a deafening crash, Daifuku and Oven intercepted them. Daifuku smirked sinisterly. Hey, hey. Don't you dare lay a hand on our brother. Oven's body radiated intense heat, his fists colliding with each other as he grinned viciously. Yeah. Your opponents are us. Genie ein rage split. Heat beating. Daifuku and Oven launched their attacks in unison. Against their combined assault, Rakuyo and Blomenko exchanged glances and immediately countered. Boom. The moment they clashed, Rakuyo and Blomenko were instantly at a disadvantage. Joey observed the battle and muttered, the power gap isn't huge, but there's still a difference. Talent matters, after all. That's not surprising. Besides, Daifuku and Oven are still too inexperienced. They're being stalled? Despite having the upper hand, they weren't able to break through. This was the difference in battle experience. They were still too young. Compared to them, their opponents had years of experience. Marco was around the same age as Prospero. That alone showed how much older the others were. Age meant experience. And experience made a difference in battle. Under these circumstances, it wasn't strange that they were being held back. Katakuri glanced at his two younger brothers, seeing them struggling. But he said nothing. He didn't step in to help. They needed to figure this out on their own. Experience could only be gained through real combat. Damn it. Daifuku roared. Genie ein rage hunt. From his puff-puff fruit, a massive genie appeared, its body made of swirling smoke. It was nearly indestructible unless its core was attacked. And the smoke regenerated quickly. Swish. The genie moved with incredible speed, slashing dozens of times in mere moments. Humphrey. Rakuyo sneered, unfazed by the attacks. His flail spun rapidly, coated in armament hockey, blocking every single strike with ease. Rakujo sneered, hey, talking big, but is that really all you've got? That's just boring. Not even worth my attention. Damn it. Daifuku fumed, burning with rage. Though he was usually cold and calculating, at the end of the day, he was still just a young man. How could he tolerate such blatant provocation? Genie clones. The genie instantly split into dozens of smaller copies. In the blink of an eye, Rakujo found himself completely surrounded. At the same time, Daifuku drew his serrated blade, his expression twisted with fury. You bastard. You should just die. 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 A chilling, ruthless aura erupted from Daifuku, his true nature fully on display. For a brief moment, his mind wavered. But he didn't care. Clenching his blade tightly, he lunged forward without hesitation. Joey quickly noticed the shift, observing Daifuku with a small smile. This brat. He's actually starting to grasp something. His nature is pushing him forward, making him improve little by little. But if he wants to take the next step, he still needs time. No rush. With that, Joey shifted his focus away from Daifuku and Oven. They had at least a 60% chance of winning against their opponents. It was just their lack of battle experience that had them on the back foot. But they wouldn't lose. As for Katakuri? Hey, Jazu, Thatch, Vista. 3 of Whitebeard's top fighters had teamed up against Katakuri. And yet, they were struggling. Their individual power levels hovered around bronze level 8. Even with 3 of them working together, facing Katakuri, just holding their ground was already an achievement. That was only because their combined abilities were decent. And because Katakuri was focusing more on honing his combat skills rather than going for the kill. Otherwise, finishing them off wouldn't take long. The full-scale battle hadn't erupted yet. And honestly, wiping out the Whitebeard pirates? With the people present here, that would be extremely difficult. If you're going to kill someone, do it in one strike. Don't leave any room for retaliation. That was what Joey excelled at. And now? This wasn't the right opportunity. Compote and Mundi joined the battlefield as well. Clap. Watching Cracker clapping his hands, rapidly producing more and more biscuit soldiers, Joey sighed. This brat actually turned the biscuit fruit into a full-on summoner skill. Joey wasn't criticizing him. Devil fruits. Their abilities depended entirely on how they were developed. Or rather, it was a glimpse into the concept of laws. The more one trained, the more they could grasp these fundamental principles. Laws came in many forms. Biscuit law? It sounded ridiculous. But really, it was just a subcategory under the greater food law. Not that it mattered. Any law could be developed and mastered. Sure, it might not be as overwhelming as time or space. But with enough effort, it could still reach incredible heights. There were no weak laws, only weak users. Just like devil fruits. Damn it. So many biscuit soldiers. Cracker is such a pain. The Whitebeard pirates were growing increasingly frustrated. They had the numbers advantage, boasting nearly 200 to 300 fighters. Meanwhile, the Big Mom pirates had most of their elite members deployed elsewhere, searching for devil fruits. Yet, Cracker alone had completely flipped the battlefield. With an army of biscuit soldiers, he had single-handedly neutralized their numerical advantage. And even worse, as time passed, the number of biscuit soldiers only continued to grow. Now then. Hee. Cracker grinned cruelly. If you can't dodge this, crouching slightly, his eyes gleamed with a sinister light. Pretzel biscuit soldiers. At his command, hundreds of biscuit soldiers simultaneously created swords. A spiral of sword energy exploded outward. Holy shit. Is he serious? That guy is terrifying. For a moment, everyone was stunned. Cracker's sheer combat ability was beyond shocking. The Big Mom pirates only had 6 major fighters: Katakuri, Daifuku, Oven, Compote, Mundi, and Cracker. The Whitebeard pirates, on the other hand, had nearly 20 powerhouse combatants. Each one ranged from bronze level 5 to bronze level 8. As terrifying as Cracker's attack was, it didn't do as much damage as expected. Their strong fighters combined their efforts to block the assault. Joey murmured in thought, no wonder Whitebeard and Golden Lion were so powerful. In such a short time, they've gathered an incredible number of strong fighters. The strength they showed in the original story was just a fraction of their true power. These guys are seriously strong. Scanning the battlefield, some of these fighters had never appeared in the original story. Others were future captains under the Whitebeard pirates. Some would eventually leave Whitebeard's crew to build their own crews. The strongest era of the Whitebeard pirates was likely during their time of roaming and recruiting, when all these powerful individuals were still together under one banner. Observing the battle, Joey murmured, victory? Seems difficult. But winning isn't impossible. It's just that I'd have to reveal too much. And that's not necessary. After weighing the situation, he dismissed the thought of wiping them out completely. Chapter 102, The fight is over. Eliminate the problem from the roots. Leave nothing behind. That was Joey's way of handling things. If anyone chose to be his enemy, then there was absolutely no way he would leave them any chance to fight back. From start to finish, he would make sure to end them, completely. Now, Joey was calculating, if he took action himself, defeating the Whitebeard pirates wouldn't be difficult. But the problem was that if he wanted to kill Edward, that would be absolutely impossible. After a brief consideration, he immediately abandoned that idea. It was pointless. If Edward escaped, then no matter how many of his subordinates Joey killed, it would all be meaningless. A powerful silver rank 3 fighter like Edward. If he decided to go into hiding and specifically target the Charlotte family, it would become a massive problem. A man with nothing to lose wouldn't fear consequences. That would be far too risky. Thinking through all these possibilities, Joey muttered to himself, this is enough. The Whitebeard pirates can't be wiped out just yet. Or rather, the benefits of doing so are too small, while the risks are far too great. With that realization, Joey relayed his decision to his siblings. Upon receiving their eldest brother's command, everyone held back just a little. Most of the high-ranking officers and strong fighters were spared. Since neither side wanted an all-out war, there was no need to make an enemy for life. It wasn't worth it. That was the best way to put it. To outsiders, it might seem like fear, cowardice, even. Joey didn't care what others thought about this war. What mattered most was ensuring his family's best interests. Jekushin. But compared to the others, the battle between Edward and Linlin was on a whole different level. These two were truly equals and neither showed any mercy. The ocean stirred. Waves surged violently. The clash of these two monsters. It wasn't something that could end quickly. However. Huff. Huff. A woman with long, icy blue hair panted heavily, looking completely drained. The Ice Witch, Whitey Bay. A formidable member of the Whitebeard pirates. Yet, even with the combined efforts of other nearby members, they were all exhausted under Compote's relentless assault. Ugh! Compote's attacks were simply too fierce, making resistance feel almost impossible. Finally, she landed a hard hit on Whitey Bay, causing her to scream. Huh? The sudden scream distracted Edward for just a moment. Chance. In an instant, Linlin lunged forward. Her fist clenched as armament hockey surged around it. Her punch landed directly on Edward's face. Ugh! Blood dripped from the corner of his mouth. But seizing this opportunity, Edward quickly retreated. At that moment, Edward noticed a group of pirates sneaking up, ready to ambush Joey. Without hesitation, he roared, "You little brats! Stop right there!" For a moment, the 10 or so pirates froze in place, unsure whether to advance or retreat. Hey! Joey looked at them with a smirk. If I were you, I'd listen to Whitebeard. Do you really think you can threaten me? They were standing just 3 meters from the line of death. Unknown to them, a great sword was already waiting in silence. Sadly, the stand couldn't unleash flying slashes. That was just a limitation of the weapon. Otherwise, the range of its attack wouldn't be just 30 meters. What do we do? Fall back. Without hesitation, the group retreated. Joey just shook his head, still smiling. He had no further interest in them. They were nothing but trash. Humphrey. Edward wiped the blood from his mouth, glaring at Linlin, who was charging at him once more. His eyes burned with rage. You crazy woman. Don't think I'm afraid of you. Roar. A terrifying aura erupted alongside his bellow. This time Edward wasn't holding back. He unleashed his full strength. Armament hockey infused with Conqueror's hockey coated his attack. From above, his massive blade came crashing down. Morakamagiri. Naginata Reisetsu. Slash. The sheer force behind it was overwhelming. Huh? For a brief moment, Linlin felt the hairs on her body stand on end. This attack was absolutely terrifying. But Linlin simply grinned, baring her teeth. Who do you think you're looking down on? You think I'm scared of you, old man? She gripped her massive blade, Napoleon, with both hands. And then armament hockey infused with conqueror's hockey. Everything Edward could do, she could match. Not only that. Lightning of Zeus and flames of Prometheus crackled along Napoleon's blade. Linlin swung it wide. Mama Godslayer. Their attacks collided. Boom. An even more terrifying force exploded outward, both fighters making sure their attacks didn't hit the island. Otherwise, even if they wouldn't wipe out everyone, at least 70 to 80% of those present would fall. This battle was on an entirely different level. In the distance, the deep sea erupted into a towering wave. Sigh. Joey sighed helplessly. Seriously, Mom's gone into one of her berserk states again. This isn't good. I need to stop her before things get out of hand. He knew all too well, whenever his mother fell into this state, she didn't completely lose her mind, but she was definitely on the verge of doing so. A mother like this was bound to cause trouble. In this kind of frenzied state, it wouldn't be surprising if she did something completely unpredictable. Mom. That's enough. The fight is over. There's no need to keep going. Huh? Hearing Joey's words, Linlin, who was still locked in combat, suddenly snapped back to reality. And just like that, she pulled back. Only Joey could bring her out of this state so easily. It was only because of Linlin's attachment to her son that this was even possible. As for anyone else? The best they could hope for was that she wouldn't harm them outright. But waking her up from this rage? That was as difficult as reaching the heavens. Huff, seeing Linlin finally stop, Edward let out a deep breath. His expression didn't look great at all. To be honest. Edward could fight guys like Shiki, Roger, Sengoku, Garp, or Zephyr for 300 rounds if necessary. But Linlin? That crazy woman? As her name implied, she was an actual lunatic, completely insane. Fighting her was a death match. One wrong move, and he wouldn't even know how he died. What was he supposed to do? There was no way around it, just had to accept it. Edward returned to the Moby Dick. At that moment, everyone started to gradually retreat, ending the battle. Clearly, they all understood, with both their captain and Linlin withdrawing from combat. This fight was pretty much over. Edward looked at Joey seriously and said, "Kid, looks like you won this round." Joey smiled. Won? Nah, it was nothing special. Casual and relaxed. As if this battle had never even mattered to him. And the thing was, it really didn't. Was there anything here worth caring about? If this had been the future, when the Whitebeard pirates stormed Manafort and got crushed, maybe he'd feel a little something. But now, the Whitebeard pirates, Roger pirates, Golden Lion pirates, even the Big Mom pirates and the Charlotte family, they were all just getting started. They weren't weak, but they were far from their peak. It was meaningless. Gorura, seeing Joey's indifferent attitude, Edward couldn't help but laugh. No wonder. Kid, you really are terrifying. Shiki calls you a monster hiding in the depths. Now I see it. You are a monster lurking in the shadows. Joey chuckled. Golden Lion sure gives me some high praise. Even as he spoke humbly. Anyone with half a brain could tell, Joey had no intention of denying it. Edward took one last deep look at Joey before giving the order, "Brats. We're leaving." "Yes, Pops." The pirates all looked pissed off. After all, they'd been stopped by just a handful of people. No, they'd almost been wiped out by just a few people. Especially Cracker. He alone had created tons of biscuit soldiers, practically like an unstoppable monster. He had already reached bronze level 9. At this point, his strength was about equal to his future self in the original story. If he took one more step forward, if he reached silver level 1, then he would have surpassed his original self entirely. If that happened, summoning even stronger biscuit soldiers would only be natural, right? TCH. Clicking his tongue in annoyance, Oven scoffed. They ran pretty fast, huh? Acted all tough, but in the end, this is all they amounted to? Mundy walked over, puzzled. Big bro. Why did you let them go? Joey smiled and explained, "Do you really think we could completely wipe out the Whitebeard pirates?" This. Everyone fell silent, thinking about it. Yeah, destroying the Whitebeard pirates wasn't exactly an easy task. To put it another way, it was damn near impossible. Erasing them completely wasn't something that could be done so easily. Joey continued, "It's incredibly difficult to annihilate them. If all of our family members were here, maybe. But right now, even if I go all out, the chances of success are only about 20%. And Whitebeard would definitely escape." "I see." Everyone nodded in understanding. One survivor, a crazy monster lurking in the depths of the sea. What would that mean? Just look at what their mom was like. That alone was enough proof. If their mother was dead set on taking revenge on a particular force, with no weaknesses holding her back, she would be a nightmare. Joey continued, and that's not all. The second reason is that it's best if I don't reveal my full power just yet. Now isn't the right time. Additionally, he paused for a moment before saying, this brings us to the third reason. Don't you all think the Atom Kingdom has too much control over the New World? Everyone was stunned. Yeah. The New World was basically ruled by the Atom Kingdom and other major nations right now. Joey smirked. Pirates are a double-edged sword. If used properly, the balance of power in the New World will gradually shift away from these nations. This is a great opportunity. So, I'd rather not see that blade break just yet. The real storm hadn't even started. Everything would begin when Roger became the king of the pirates. On that day, pirates would run wild. In the future, the New World would be ruled by the 4 emperors. That was how things unfolded in the original story. And that alone was proof, the future New World would be in absolute chaos. And that was exactly what Joey wanted. Finally, Joey turned to his siblings and said, so let's just call this fight a draw. No need to dwell on it too much. Chapter 103, Getting the Devil Fruits. Joey smiled and said, alright. No need to dwell on it too much. If you're not satisfied, then just get stronger. Yeah. Everyone nodded again. That was the truth. Not satisfied? Then get stronger. On this vast ocean. In this world. In the boundless multiverse. Strength is the most important thing. Snap. Everyone clenched their fists firmly, their eyes flashing with determination. Joey glanced briefly at Daifuku but didn't say much. Then, turning his gaze to Kitakuri, he asked, Kitakuri, how do you feel? Have you gained control over your stand's abilities? Kitakuri replied, Big brother. I'm getting more and more used to my stand, but if you ask about its abilities. He shook his head. After some thought, he said, I have some ideas, but they're just rough guesses. I can't say for sure what the full extent of its power is. Joey reassured him, no need to rush. You have plenty of time to figure it out. Abilities. You master them step by step. Then, he turned to the 4 younger ones. How's the learning going? They blinked at each other. One looked at the other. The other looked back. Learning? Didn't they just have a fight? What was there to learn from that? Daifuku asked in confusion. Oven, what does he mean? Oven rolled his eyes. You're asking me? Who am I supposed to ask? I don't know either. How would I know what's going on? The others also shook their heads blankly. Except for Kitakuri. The rest of them just looked on curiously. After all, aside from Kitakuri being both intelligent and courageous. The others. Well, Joey figured there was no changing them. They were the type to charge forward without thinking, believing brute strength could solve everything. But that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Their family already had enough smart people. When it came to Joey's question, Nustort answered outright, I don't know anything. I don't understand. I don't get it. Don't ask me. His expression was one of pure cluelessness, and he seemed oddly proud of it. Ha 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 ha. The older siblings couldn't help but laugh. Joey glared at them and scolded, what right do you have to laugh at Nustort? Aren't you all the same? Their laughter stopped instantly. Their personalities were almost identical. None of them were any better than the others. All in all, they were all just as clueless. Of course, Joey hadn't expected Nustort to come up with anything useful anyway. After all, he was just a brat. Joey's attention shifted to Custard and Moscato. Custard, the little girl, spoke up cutely. Big brother. Actually, I think letting the Whitebeard pirates go would be more beneficial for us. A tiger with attachments is different from a tiger with nothing to lose. Joey nodded in satisfaction and turned to Moscato. Moscato scratched his head and added, also. Big brother, I think these pirates shouldn't necessarily be wiped out. Since they're crazy, who knows what kind of chaos they'll cause. In the end, we could just sit back and reap the rewards. That's what teachers usually taught us, right? The 2 siblings had clearly put some thought into this. Of course, it wasn't a deep analysis, nor was it an overly important one. After all, anyone with just a bit of awareness could see this. And they could tell what Joey was thinking. Joey nodded approvingly. Not bad at all. Keep thinking. Strength and ability should develop together. But for you kids, thinking is even more important. Joey was genuinely pleased with them. They were a talented bunch. Abilities. They were something you were born with. Whether it was fighting skills or leadership skills, some things were simply innate. Sure, you could learn them later. But the truth? That's just a dream. Success is said to be 99% effort and 1% talent. But without that 1% talent, that 99% effort is nothing but wasted effort. That 1% was the limit of their potential after all. Joey was feeling satisfied with Custard and Moscato. He had found 4 capable ministers. Amand, Broy, Custard, and Moscato were all promising. At that moment, I found it. I found it. Ha ha ha. 1 billion Baileys are mine. A man's crazed laughter echoed through the air. He ran toward them, carefully cradling a devil fruit. Stop right there. Daifuku stepped in front of him, his gaze icy. The man trembled in fear. After all, he was just an ordinary person. Faced with someone like Daifuku, who had walked a bloody path since childhood. A single glare was enough to terrify him. But his desire for riches overcame his fear. Sir. Sir. I found the devil fruit. I found it. Clearly, his hunger for wealth had numbed his terror. Daifuku glanced at the fruit and said, hand it over. Let me see. Why yes. The man carefully handed over the fruit. Daifuku examined it and said, Big brother, this isn't the shining fruit. It's the pocket fruit that we also were looking for. Oh? Joey raised an eyebrow, then chuckled. Well, this is an unexpected bonus. Not bad at all. Give him the promised amount, 1 billion Baileys. Big brother. No problem. Soon, an enormous treasure chest was placed before the man. 1 billion Baileys. A fortune beyond imagination. For an ordinary person, they could work for 10 lifetimes and never earn that much. The man bowed respectfully, then he grabbed the treasure and hurried away. Watching him run off, the others smirked. They didn't care much. As Joey always said, there's no need to resort to violence all the time. Money. That most trivial of things, wasn't it the easiest way to solve problems? If money alone could resolve 99% of troubles, why bother fighting? That would be completely pointless. Everyone wholeheartedly agreed with their big bro's reasoning. That was just common sense. Joey toyed with the pocket fruit, contemplating. Pocket fruit, book fruit, heel fruit. Right now, we have 3 devil fruits, all of which are support type. This is quite tricky. None of them seem suited for compote. 3 devil fruits. All of them were excellent in their own privilege. The book fruit, in particular, was downright broken. First off, its development and usage had limitless potential. From activation to application, every aspect was top tier. However, the book fruit leaned more towards support. The healing fruit and pocket fruit were similar. They just weren't unsuitable for compote. Compote, understanding the situation, casually said, Big bro. I'm not in a rush to get a devil fruit. Right now, I'm more interested in awakening my stand ability. Joey pondered. If that's the case, we'll take our time finding a devil fruit for you. If I had to pick, there is one that would suit you perfectly, but someone has already eaten it. Now. He shook his head, dismissing the thought. We haven't figured out how to extract devil fruits yet. Or maybe we could get our hands on the dark fruit? Sigh. Finding these things is never easy. It was frustrating. Joey thought for a moment and asked, System. Can a devil fruit be swapped for another for a family member? Clan leader. This would require 3,000 achievement points. Joey fell silent. Never mind. He remained calm, but inwardly, he was cursing the system. What kind of nonsense is this? 3,000 achievement points? It takes 3,000 points just to enhance a single technique? But then again, it was fair. Devil fruits were essentially the embryonic forms of laws. Altering a fundamental law wasn't exactly an easy feat. Found it. I found it. A similarly excited voice rang out as a woman rushed over in a frenzy. She was practically losing her mind with excitement. Clutching a devil fruit tightly in her hands. She was trembling with joy. Joey narrowed his eyes and said, This time, there's no mistake. It's definitely the shining fruit. Call everyone back. We've got the devil fruit. No need to keep searching. Understood. Big bro. Mundi immediately left to handle it. Before long, Mundi returned with the shining fruit in hand. The person who had brought it was also sent off with the reward. Hashi and Defali also returned. The 2 girls awkwardly scratched their heads. Hashi apologized. Big bro. Sorry about that. We didn't find a single devil fruit. We wasted 2 billion Baileys. Joey simply laughed. That's nothing. Whether it's the shining fruit or the pocket fruit, they're worth far more than 2 billion Baileys. We got them so easily, this is a win. Remember what I told you? If money can solve the problem, it's a small problem. Toying with the shining fruit in his hand, Joey casually tossed it to Nussstort and said, Brat. This devil fruit is yours. Nussstort beamed. Big bro. Don't worry, I won't waste this devil fruit's potential. Crunch. Without hesitation. Nussstort took huge bites, scarfing it down. Everyone smiled as they watched the scene unfold. Joey reached into the family's insignia and pulled out a weapon, handing it to Nussstort. A sword. A large cutlass. You brat, isn't his your preferred weapon style? This one's yours. Hee. Nussstort was ecstatic. Even though the taste of the devil fruit had twisted his face in disgust, his smile soon returned. For a warrior. Nothing was more exciting than having their own weapon. Pure hand-to-hand combatants were actually quite rare. After all, slashing someone with a blade versus engaging in barefisted combat were two completely different concepts. In the Charlotte family, almost everyone had their own weapon. All of them crafted by dwarves that Joey got from another world. Seeing Nusstort's happiness, Joey simply smiled in silence. Chapter 104, Mystic Eyes of Death Perception. For every younger brother and sister born into the family, Joey had forged the perfect weapon for each of them. After all, the dwarves were one of the races under his command, and if there was one thing they excelled at, it was forging weapons. Not to mention the skilled craftsmen from Wano and the ones he had trained himself. It was safe to say that Joey had left no stone unturned in this regard. An interesting fact was that the dwarves possessed a special ability, one that was incredibly rare. It was a simple yet remarkable skill. They could instantly discern the most suitable weapon for any individual. So, the moment a younger sibling was born, the dwarves would determine the perfect weapon for them and start forging it. All Joey had to do was hand it over when the time was right. After all, giving it as a reward was also a good way to encourage them. His younger siblings needed to grow and improve. Seeing Nusstort's excitement, Joey gently said, Nussstort, Custard, Moscato. You must work hard to learn and grow. Now that you've made your choices, make sure you live up to them. Yes. The three children nodded firmly. Joey didn't say much more. He turned and instructed, all right, tell Momo to prepare a feast. Tomorrow, we all begin our own journeys. Everyone smiled and nodded. This separation was only so they could reunite even stronger in the future. Joey had his own travels ahead, and Kitakuri and the others had their own tasks to accomplish. The Big Mom pirates still needed to expand their reputation. And Kitakuri and his crew needed to recruit more pirates. Having only family members as crew wasn't enough. In this vast sea, there were plenty of non-human pirates, many of whom were worth recruiting. With the right control, they could become valuable combat power. As for loyalty? That wasn't an issue at all. If anyone disobeyed, Kitakuri had his own ways to make them submit. Time passed quickly. After indulging in some pastries, everyone went about their own activities, whether it was resting, training, or studying. Joey, as usual, sat on the deck's couch reading a book. This had always been his habit. No matter the weather, rain or shine, he would always read there. Everyone in the family knew about their eldest brother's love for books. Master. Akangakubo Momo approached and respectfully said, afternoon tea is ready. Joey looked up and asked, is it that time already? Yes, Master. It's time for afternoon tea. She confirmed. Joey chuckled. Looks like I got too caught up in reading. Bring the sweets over. Understood. Momo bowed and left to fetch the treats. Joey put down his book. It wasn't anything particularly rare, just a common sea story filled with various legends. Most people treated these as mere storybooks. But Joey never saw them that way. To him, these so-called legends often held grains of truth. He meticulously searched through them for any useful knowledge. Lately, for instance, he had found some information about the Lunarian tribe. He rubbed his temples and murmured, I wonder if the intel on the Lunarians is accurate. Well, accurate or not, I have to check it out. I can't just ignore it. If it's true, then they would be an invaluable addition to me. A light chuckle escaped him. Joey was a collector, not just of rare creatures and exotic plants, but also of unique races. From this world, he had already gathered the giants, three-eyed tribe, Tontita tribe, fishman, merfolk, long-arm tribe, long-legged tribe, and snake-neck tribe. Only the sky tribe and mink tribe remained elusive. From other worlds, he had acquired the beastmen, elves, dwarves, and Unna. But he wasn't stopping there. His collection was far from complete. Lunarian tribe and even the legendary dragon tribe were his next targets. If he could locate them, they would be the most precious additions. He chuckled softly. Now that would be a real treasure. Momo arrived with the tea and, noticing his grin, sighed, Master, every time you think about something devious, it's way too obvious. Joey snapped back to reality and asked, do I really look that suspicious? Yes. She nodded firmly. Master, at times like this, your smile is downright creepy. Added Kobayashi Rindo. No doubt about it. She agreed, nodding in sync with Momo. Master, you really need to work on that expression, it totally ruins your usual aura. Joey sighed, alright, I'll work on it. It's not exactly a good habit, and letting others notice it isn't ideal either. After making their point, the two chefs dropped the subject. To know the status of the family's subordinates had recently been upgraded. They were no longer just followers. They were now recognized as retainers. However, becoming a retainer was extremely difficult. After some investigation, they had discovered that the easiest people to become retainers were ordinary individuals. For those with talent, strength, or ambition, it was almost impossible. As for why chefs with a top-tier aptitude had it easier, that was simple. Cooking was a profession built on devotion. No matter how powerful chefs became, they would eventually find someone worth dedicating their lives to. After the two head chefs left, Joey leisurely enjoyed his afternoon tea. In the Charlotte family, afternoon tea was sacred. During this time, every family member relaxed and enjoyed the moment. It was a time of peace. After finishing his tea, Joey wiped his mouth and muttered, "Looks like I really do need to work on my expressions. Not exactly a good look for me. But still, those rare races. They're just too exciting." A glint of enthusiasm flashed in his eyes. He was truly thrilled. The Lunarian tribe, a nearly extinct race from legend. Born with the ability to control flames and fly, they were truly unique. A treasure like that, how could he not be excited? It was impossible not to be. But shaking his head, he decided not to dwell on it for now. Relaxing his mind, he returned to his book. These were valuable records. Flipping through the pages, he searched for any potential clues. Time passed quickly. Especially when engrossed in something so important. Before he knew it, the sky had darkened completely. Joey looked up and saw Kitakuri beside him, lighting a lantern. He gave his younger brother a warm look and asked, "Kitakuri, what's on your mind?" Hanging the lantern in place, Kitakuri sat down and softly said, "Big brother. There's something I've been meaning to talk about, but I don't know how to say it." Joey took a sip of his still warm tea and said, "Go ahead. As your big brother, it's my job to help you through your doubts, isn't it?" Kitakuri fell silent. Joey didn't rush him, simply watching with a gentle smile. Clearly, Kitakuri was struggling with something internally. After a long pause, Kitakuri finally spoke. "Big bro. I'm here." Joey reassured him. "Didn't I tell you? No matter when or where, I'm always here to listen." "Yeah." Kitakuri nodded, then said, "Big bro, I'm really confused right now. I have the resolve, but I keep doubting myself. Can I really do this? Can I really protect the entire family?" That was it. That was the source of Kitakuri's hesitation. He was determined to stay strong. But he was also lost in doubt. After all, he hadn't yet lived through the events of the original story. Right now, Kitakuri still lacked absolute confidence in his heart. He was still somewhat inexperienced. At this moment, Joey understood why. Kitakuri hadn't yet mastered his stand's true power. Invincible death. Just hearing the name made it clear. Kitakuri did have an invincible spirit. But it wasn't unwavering yet. There was still a small crack in his resolve, and with a flaw like that, he couldn't unleash the full potential of his stand. Joey chuckled softly at Kitakuri's troubled expression. "Kitakuri, I think you've hit a dead end." "Big bro?" Kitakuri looked even more confused. Joey gave him a gentle smile. "What's your name?" "Charlotte Kitakuri." Joey nodded. "That alone is enough. Remember your name. You are my brother, Charlotte, Joey's younger brother. Isn't it natural for you to be invincible? In this world, you were always meant to be unbeatable. The only reason someone might surpass you now is because they've lived 3 or 5 years longer than you. But in the future, do you think you won't surpass them? Remember this." Joey stood up, clapping Kitakuri on the shoulder. "Do you want to watch your younger sibling suffer?" Kitakuri responded instantly. "Of course not." Joey grinned. "Then that's all that matters. You are an invincible man. You are the unshakable pillar of this family. No one, will ever doubt or question that. Think about how your brothers and sisters look at you, and you'll understand everything." Simple words, but they struck deep into Kitakuri's heart. He thought of his younger siblings. Their voices echoed in his mind. "Prospero, Kitakuri. I'm leaving this to you. Compote, Kitakuri. Even when no one else can do it, we know you can. Broy, Kitakuri. That enemy doesn't stand a chance against you. Amand, Kitakuri." One after another, their words surfaced in his mind. Their figures burned themselves into his memory. In that moment, Kitakuri finally understood. Their eyes. Every single one of them looked at him with absolute confidence. It was expectation. It was certainty. To them, his invincibility was simply a fact of life. So this is what it means to be invincible? Katakuri clenched his fist. At that moment, invincible death manifested before him. He saw the world differently. Cracks appeared everywhere as if reality itself was fracturing. As if those cracks represented death. It felt like he could slice through anything with just a simple motion of his blade. If Joey had seen it, he would have realized immediately, this was the stand version of Mystic Eyes of Death Perception. Chapter 105, The Long-Legged Tribe. Joey didn't disturb Katakuri. Instead, he stepped aside, letting the night sea breeze brush against him. With his eyes slightly narrowed, he quietly waited. Would Katakuri get what he was waiting for? Hey, of course he would. After all, this was his little brother. Charlotte Katakuri. A man like him, there was no way he would remain bound by his past. It was simply impossible. As his older brother, Joey had absolute confidence in him. Tap. In just about 10 minutes, he heard footsteps behind him. Without even turning around, Joey spoke. Katakuri, have you thought it through? Katakuri stepped up beside Joey and nodded. Big brother, I feel at peace now, deep inside, from my very soul. He exhaled slowly before continuing, it's like my abilities have transformed. No, not like. They have transformed. My stand ability, Invincible Death, has fully awakened. Oh? Joey's interest was piqued. Stand abilities varied wildly, and some could be ridiculously overpowered. Take over heaven, for example, it could literally reset the universe. So he was naturally curious about what kind of ability Katakuri had developed. Clenching his fists, Katakuri explained, Big brother, through the eyes of Invincible Death, I can see countless lines, threads connecting everything. There are too many of them, but I have a feeling. If I strike along these lines, I can instantly cut down my opponent. Joey fell silent for a moment. Wait, what? Wasn't this just Mystic Eyes of Death Perception? After a brief pause, he collected himself and asked, Katakuri, try looking at me. Can you see any lines on my body? Katakuri nodded. Alright. His stand ability activated. His eyes gleamed with a crimson glow. But then, after just a moment, he averted his gaze and said, Big brother, I can see it, but the line is extremely faint. It's also hard to reach. Still, it does exist. Joey nodded knowingly. So that's how it works. The effectiveness of Invincible Death depends on your strength. The stronger you become, the more you'll see. One day, if you reach a high enough level, even gods won't be safe from you. Let's test it out. Alright. Both Joey and Katakuri leaped off the ship and landed on the island ahead. The night was full of eyes hidden in the shadows. Many were watching. Perfect test subjects. Drip. Blood splattered onto the ground. Bodies, now in pieces, littered the area. Joey surveyed the carnage with a calm expression. I can see it now. The ability is clear and precise. It's almost identical to what I know. Big brother? Joey cut him off. No rush. Listen to me first. I know about this ability, but I don't fully understand it either. I can guide you a little, but the rest is up to you. Understood. Katakuri nodded firmly. The two brothers remained on the deck, deep in conversation under the night sky. The hidden observers trembled in fear. The ones who had just been slain were their comrades. Yet, for some reason they hadn't all been killed. Perhaps because there was no need. The next morning as Daifuku, Oven, and the others got up for their morning training, they noticed something unusual. Joey and Katakuri were both asleep on the sofa. This. Daifuku's mouth twitched. Seriously? Those two must have talked all night about something. What a hassle. Oven, unfazed, turned to the maids. Take Big Bro and Katakuri to their room so they can rest properly. Yes, sir. The maids quickly got to work, carefully moving them. Before long, as the rest of the crew slowly woke up, Linlin appeared, looking slightly displeased. Mama's Joey is still asleep? She muttered, crossing her arms. Forget it. Daifuku, Oven, Mama's setting sail. It's time to start recruiting more crew members. Mama will never be weaker than those two. My Big Mom pirates will be the strongest crew out there. At that moment, Linlin's ambition was crystal clear. Linlin's original goal had been to establish Todo Land, and her children were already working hard to make that dream a reality. So now, she had another path. She would become a great pirate, one who stood above all others. Daifuku, trying to be reasonable, advised, Mama, you should take it easy. Let Katakuri handle more of the... Linlin's sharp, beautiful eyes narrowed as she fixed her gaze on Daifuku. In an instant, Daifuku froze, trembling slightly as he obediently shut his mouth. Ha ha ha. The whole crew burst into laughter at the scene. But soon enough, it was time to set sail. With a whoosh, the Queen Mama Chander took off, heading toward the horizon. Daifuku and Oven were left behind. After all, Joey was still asleep, and the other 4 on the ship were too young to make big decisions. Daifuku asked, "So, are we setting sail now?" Oven nodded decisively. "Big bro already picked our next target. We just need to head straight there. It's a simple job, just beat them into submission, and they'll fall in line. Let's set sail. If we're lucky, we'll reach the place by nightfall, so when Big Bro wakes up, we'll already be there." Daifuku agreed. "That makes sense. Judging by the location, it's not too far. Let's depart now and aim to arrive by night. Within 3 days, we should have everything under control." And so, without hesitation, they set sail, heading toward their next conquest. By the time Joey woke up, it was already past 3 p.m. Stepping out of his room, he casually took a seat at the afternoon tea table, joining his siblings who were already enjoying their tea. After taking a few sips, Joey finally asked, "Daifuku, Oven, where are we now?" Daifuku responded, "Big bro. According to your planned route, we're heading straight for the Long-Leg tribe. If we go at this pace, we should arrive by around 6 p.m. The distance isn't too far." Joey nodded. "Good. The timing is just right." Oven, however, couldn't contain his curiosity. "Big bro. What exactly were you and Katakuri talking about last night? You two actually pulled an all-nighter?" It wasn't just him, everyone present was curious about it. Joey shrugged casually. Katakuri finally unlocked his stand ability. "I just gave him a bit of guidance. Eventually, we both got exhausted and crashed on the spot." "Oh, I see. That makes sense." Everyone nodded in understanding. Daifuku, who had been quietly listening, smiled thoughtfully. "That's Katakuri for you." As expected. Indeed, in the minds of everyone in the family, Katakuri achieving such a feat was nothing out of the ordinary. And why was that? The answer was simple, because he was Katakuri. Joey chuckled to himself. This was exactly what he wanted. Invincible death. After researching further last night, Joey realized something crucial. This stand required an unwavering belief in one's own invincibility to fully unleash its power. But achieving true invincibility in spirit, that was far easier said than done. Aside from those with an extreme case of delusions of grandeur, maintaining an undefeated mindset at all times was no easy task. His plan was simple. He needed to make it an ingrained belief within the family that Katakuri accomplishing anything was the most natural thing in the world. Only by instilling this mindset in everyone around him could Katakuri himself develop an unshakable conviction in his invincibility. Of course, there was a risk. If, one day, Katakuri were to lose, it could lead to disastrous consequences. But Joey would never let that happen. Linlin and Katakuri, these were the 2 most important people he was nurturing. They were meant to be the strongest, the truly undefeated. He wouldn't allow them to fall. "Big bro." Joey snapped out of his thoughts and looked at Oven. Oven continued, "Big bro. The Long-Leg tribe should be the easiest to deal with among all the different races, right?" Joey nodded. "More or less. Their situation is unique, but they shouldn't be too hard to handle. It won't take much effort to bring them under control." "I thought so." The group collectively nodded. The Long-Leg tribe was one of the more distinct races among the various species. Their belief? The strong rule. In other words, if you could defeat them, they would submit to you without question. That was the nature of their tribe. But that didn't mean it was going to be easy. The higher up you went in their hierarchy, the tougher the battles would get. Taking them down wouldn't be a walk in the park. Joey, however, remained unfazed. "No need to worry about that for now. It's not something we need to rush. Also, I came across some interesting information yesterday while going through some books. Apparently, someone spotted a flying fire crow in the sea of fog in the South Blue." "Huh?" Everyone, including Daifuku and Oven, froze for a moment. Daifuku frowned. "Big bro. That's probably just a rumor, right? If the Lunarian tribe really existed, wouldn't they have been found already?" Oven agreed. Yeah. Big bro, this sounds fake." "Not necessarily." Joey shook his head. "Nothing is certain. Think about it, after all these years, there has never been any solid information about the Sea of Fog. If my guess is correct, there is something unusual about that place. Whether or not the Lunarian tribe is actually there remains to be seen." Everyone fell into deep thought. The problem was obvious, traveling to the South Blue would take at least 2 months. That was far too long. Joey was well aware of the difficulty. He calmly said, "No need to rush. Solving the mystery of the Lunarian tribe isn't something we can do overnight. If they really are in hiding, then even if we find them, it won't be a simple matter to integrate them. For now, our focus should stay on the Long-Leg tribe, the Longa-Urn tribe, and the Sky tribe. The Long-Leg tribe. The Longa-Urn tribe. The Sky tribe, Angel tribe. These were some of the last remaining races that hadn't fully joined Tado Land. Of course, the Mink tribe was another matter entirely. Their situation was the most complicated. So the main objective of this journey was clear: to bring the Three-Eyed tribe, the Snake-Neck tribe, the Long-Leg tribe, the Long-Arm tribe, and the Sky tribe into Tado Land. It was a massive undertaking. But Joey had made thorough preparations before setting sail. Otherwise, rushing out recklessly would be the real problem. With a calm smile, Joey fell into thought once more. But no one knew exactly what he was thinking. Daifuku voiced his concerns. Big bro. The Long-Leg tribe is manageable, and the Sky tribe can be reasoned with. But the Long-Arm tribe, their situation is way more complicated. Dealing with them is going to be an absolute nightmare. He wasn't wrong. The Long-Arm tribe was the biggest problem. To put it bluntly, the entire tribe had issues. Solving their situation? It would be a massive challenge. Joey, however, simply smiled. No need to worry. I've already prepared everything. His smile was warm, but behind it lay absolute confidence. Chapter 106, The Mixed Martial Arts Club Alliance. It was just past 6 o'clock. At this time of day, the sun should still be up. But unfortunately this was the Grand Line. A place where the weather was unpredictable and extreme. Sometimes, while one part of the sea basked in daylight, another was already shrouded in darkness. And in the New World, or the most chaotic and lawless region of the Calm Belt, things were even more unpredictable. Splash, a ship slowly sailed forward. Standing at the bow with his hands behind his back, Joey spoke calmly. So this is where the Long-Leg tribe resides? Yes. No doubt about it. Daifuku, Oven, and the others nodded seriously. This was indeed the home of the Long-Leg tribe. In fact, among the different humanoid races, 3 major groups stood out. First, the Fishmen, numbering an astounding 5 million. Second, the Long-Arm tribe, and the third, the Long-Leg tribe, each with a population of around 2 million. Aside from these, even the Hidden Sky people and the Mighty Giants only had populations numbering in the hundreds of thousands. They didn't even come close to being considered major races. Leaving aside the Fishmen and Long-Arm tribe, the Long-Leg tribe was unique. There weren't many long-leg slaves. And the reason was simple: the Long-Leg tribe valued strength above all. Ha. Hup. Ha. Hup. The moment they entered these special waters, Joey and his crew were greeted by the rhythmic sounds of intense training echoing in the air. Hey. Joey chuckled. We just got here, and we're already hearing the sounds of training. As expected, the Long-Leg tribe is truly a race of born fighters, just like the records say. Oven nodded. That's true. Despite their large numbers, the Long-Leg tribe has the lowest percentage of enslaved individuals among all non-human races. That alone proves their strength. This way. Over here. At that moment, members of the Long-Leg tribe approached. The leader of the group clasped his hands together in a respectful gesture before speaking seriously. Charlotte Family Patriarch. Welcome. Please pay the entrance fee of 30 million Baileys. Normally, your status would grant you an exemption, but we don't have the authority to make that decision. Joey smiled. Don't worry, I wouldn't make things difficult for you. The payment is ready. Daifuku stepped forward and handed over the Baileys. The leader of the Long-Leg group accepted the payment with respect. Charlotte Patriarch, you truly carry yourself with dignity. You're far better than those damn pirates who always think they're invincible but are nothing more than trash. Hey. Joey smiled warmly. In the end, the Long-Leg leader bowed deeply and said, The Mixed Martial Arts Club Alliance welcomes the Charlotte Patriarch. Please, come in. With hands clasped, the Long-Leg warriors bowed respectfully. It was a small gesture, but Joey had earned their respect. Of course, the main reason for this was Joey's creation of Tado Land. A nation that welcomed and sheltered non-human races. This made him naturally trustworthy in the eyes of almost all non-human races across the sea. Splash, the ship continued its journey. This place was known as the Stronghold of Fighters. Here, only the strong had the right to rule. The region consisted of 39 islands. Each island was packed with numerous gyms, fighting dojos, boxing clubs, and similar facilities. These places recruited and trained disciples. And every 3 years, the leaders of these clubs and dojos engaged in battles. The victors earned the right to govern their respective islands. As rulers, they had absolute authority over their domain. In total, the Mixed Martial Arts Club Alliance had 39 leaders. They came from various races, long legs, long arms, humans, and many others. Anyone could be a leader, as long as they followed the rules of the Stronghold of Fighters. And fundamentally, if someone was powerful enough to defeat every strong fighter on an island, then the entire population of that island would obey their command. Each island had a population ranging from 10,000 to several tens of thousands. In total, the 39 islands were home to nearly 3 million people. And it wasn't just the long-legged tribe that lived here. Many different races called this place home. This was also why the long-legged tribe had such a low number of enslaved individuals. Their sheer strength made them difficult to capture and subjugate. Splash! The ship soon docked at the nearest island. After arriving at the port, Joey and Daifuku disembarked while Oven remained on the ship. Ha! Hup! Ha! Hup! The sounds of intense training filled the air as soon as they landed. The aura of power was palpable, and muscular figures were everywhere. Joey and Daifuku observed the buildings on the island, gyms, martial arts clubs, boxing arenas. Everything one could imagine for combat training was present. There were also plenty of fresh young fighters eager to prove themselves. However, as Joey scanned the island with his observation hockey, he noticed that the back half of the island was different. There, families lived, elderly people, women, and children. But even in this normal part of the island, almost everyone trained, regardless of age or gender. Even the dogs were trained into muscle-bound beasts. Daifuku couldn't help but comment, so this is the stronghold of fighters? These people are crazy. Clearly, he was struggling to understand why these people train so intensely every single day. Haha. Joey chuckled. You'd be surprised. Training and fitness can be addictive. But enough of that, let's explore the island and see how things are run here. Got it, big bro? As they walked through the streets, they noticed that the locals were quite friendly toward outsiders. However, there was one thing they had to be careful about, mentioning fights. These people were battle maniacs. If you challenged someone, you had to be ready to fight immediately. If you lost, you'd be looked down upon. If you won, your opponent would follow your orders. And if you defeated a dojo or club, everyone under its banner, including their families, would be yours to command. It was a matter of pride for these fighters. By the time Joey and Daifuku returned to the ship, it was already midnight. Oven immediately approached them. Big bro. What do you think about this place? Both of them were silent for a moment. Then, Daifuku stiffly replied, Oven, I think these long-legged tribe people are mentally unstable. No, scratch that. They have no brains. They run on pure muscle. As long as you defeat someone, they'll follow you. Joey shook his head. That's not entirely correct. They will also challenge you again. If they win, you have to obey them. The group fell into silence. Joey suddenly turned to Oven. Oven, I remember you're quite skilled in martial arts, right? Oven stiffened. Big bro. You're not thinking of sending me in, are you? Daifuku calmly added, if we take over these people, someone needs to stay behind to keep them in check. Otherwise, they'll challenge us endlessly. Oven, I think you're the perfect choice. Me? Oven's face twitched as he realized his brothers were selling him out. Not only that, but they looked completely convinced that he was the best fit for the job. Oven hesitated. Big bro. This isn't a good idea. I mean, my martial arts are decent, but if you want the best, it's definitely Zakato. Daifuku nodded in agreement. That's true. If we're talking about natural talent in combat, Zakato is the best in our family. Joey chuckled. You're not wrong. Zakato is a prodigy when it comes to fighting. But he's still too young. He just turned 7 this year, and his strength is only at bronze level 2. He shook his head. Even though Zakato had enormous potential, he wasn't ready yet. Besides, Joey had a bigger goal, establishing Tato Land next year. A country couldn't be built without at least a few 100,000 citizens. If he didn't even have that, what kind of kingdom would it be? A pathetic one? Among his siblings, very few were completely untalented. A few, like Evely, Hashi, Brule, and Mash, weren't that gifted. But then there were Noisette, Baskart, and Dosmarka. Oh ho! These 3 brats were dwarven blacksmithing prodigies. Their crafting skills were already being nurtured by the finest artisans from Wano and the dwarves themselves. Even at their young age, they were studying hard. After all, mastering the forge took time. Joey was hopeful that one day they'd be able to craft legendary weapons. As for Custard and Angel, they were doing fine. Custard had great potential, and Angel, under proper guidance, was steadily honing her abilities. Then there was Zakato, an undisputed combat genius. In terms of pure fighting technique, he had no equal among the siblings. Even his mentor, Skathak, who had trained countless warriors and mages, once said, in terms of pure combat technique, Zakato might reach an unbelievable level. For someone of that caliber to say this, Zakato's potential was undeniable. Of course, no one in the Charlotte family was truly untalented. Some just hadn't found their path yet. Oven sighed. Big bro. So what's the plan? Joey smirked and looked at both Daifuku and Oven. Are you two up for some acting? Acting? The two blinked in confusion. Joey grinned. Yeah, you two take over the island, but later on, you let Zakato defeat you. No way. Absolutely not. Both of them instantly refused. Losing to their younger brother in public? No way. Daifuku shook his head. Big bro, if you really want me to do this, I can. But. He scratched his head, clearly reluctant. Joey chuckled. Relax. It was just a suggestion. Even if everyone knew it was staged, losing on purpose to their little brother was humiliating. For now, they all fell into deep thought, considering the best way to handle the situation. In theory, sending Zakato was ideal. But he still needed time to grow stronger, and that was the real challenge. Joey murmured to himself, if I had to pick the best candidate. Chapter 107, Charlotte Zakato. 2 days later. Roar. A fierce growl echoed through the air. Opera had arrived, bringing Zakato along. Thud. The two of them landed firmly on the deck. Zakato was short, barely a meter tall, but he was clad in a black fighting uniform. Despite his small stature and compact frame, he exuded the aura of a true martial artist. Clearly, Zakato's reputation as a fighting prodigy was no joke. Big bro. Opera and Zakato walked over with wide grins. Looking at the two troublemakers, Joey chuckled. So you finally made it, you little punks. I thought you had run off somewhere. Scratching his head, Opera replied, ahaha. Big bro, you can't blame me for this one. Normally, we would have been back in a day, but the problem was, our master insisted on teaching Zakato something before letting him go. Hee hee. Zakato rubbed his chin awkwardly, looking embarrassed. Curious, Joey asked, Zakato, what did Lady Skathak teach you? Zakato scratched his head again. Big bro, master taught me a special move. According to her, this technique is something she learned from the wisdom of Dunscath. It's supposed to be the ultimate killing move, perfect for taking down powerful enemies in one blow. Oh? Joey nodded in understanding. So that's how it is. At the same time, he opened Zakato's status panel. Charlotte Zakato, identity, 12th son of the Charlotte family, power level, bronze rank 3 potential, gold rank 1 description, a young man with exceptional talent in martial arts. If he hones his skills, he may one day reach god-slaying levels of hand-to-hand combat. While he lacks versatility, his talent is more than enough to be considered a key member of the family. After reading the system's analysis, Joey couldn't help but admit, it was spot on. More importantly, the last time Joey checked, Zakato had only been at bronze rank 2. How did he reach bronze rank 3 in such a short time? However, the difference between bronze 2 and bronze 3 wasn't particularly significant. In the grand scheme of things, it wouldn't change much. Leaning back on the couch, Joey asked, Zakato, what's your plan? Zakato's expression was serious. Big bro, with my current strength, there's no way I can take down a large number of fighting clubs in such a short time. I'm simply not strong enough. It was clear that Zakato had a strong sense of self-awareness, he knew his limits well. Joey, however, smiled. What if I gave you the power of a silver rank 1 fighter for a short time? Could you handle it then? Huh? Zakato was momentarily stunned before nodding. Big bro. That would be no problem at all. His eyes burned with confidence. When it came to martial arts, he had no fear. Hey. Joey chuckled and handed him a pill. Little guy, this is a silver pill. It temporarily boosts your strength to silver rank 1 without any side effects. However, you can only use it 10 times in your lifetime. Each dose lasts for 1 month. Taking the pill, Zakato grinned. Big bro. Leave it to me. Joey smirked. Of course, I trust you. You're my little brother, how could I not? When it came to his siblings, Joey always had absolute confidence. Big bro. Zakato raised a finger. Give me just 1 day. That's all I need to get used to my newfound strength. After that, I'll be unstoppable. Joey chuckled. Go for it. With that, Zakato swallowed the silver pill and immediately began training. Once he left, Oppo turned serious. Big bro, based on what I know about the Stronghold Seas, in the Mixed Martial Arts Club Alliance, the old masters tend to step in after a certain number of victories. Joey smirked. In that case, let's make sure we don't reach the number that forces them to come out. Huh? Opera frowned. Big bro, do you know what triggers them to show up? Joey chuckled. I've told you before, money makes the world go round. And trust me, it can work wonders. 99% of things can be bought with money. Cornstarch explained, Opera, it's already confirmed news. If someone wins 100 consecutive fights across different islands, the old masters will personally step in. If they can't defeat the old masters, they'll be forced to become island managers instead of issuing commands. That way, the Mixed Martial Arts Club alliance remains stable. Opera nodded. Oh, so that's their game. Those old guys are crafty. Normal fighters don't stand a chance against them. Joey grinned. Alright, don't overthink it. Let's just focus on Zakato's performance. Speaking of which, where the hell did Daifuku go for training? No clue when he's coming back. Huh? Opera blinked. Where did Daifuku go? Joey leaned back on the couch. Daifuku has finally figured out how to awaken his stand, so he left to complete the process. I'm curious, his Puff Puff Fruit is a pretty unique ability. I wonder what kind of stand he'll get. Oh. Everyone nodded in understanding. Of course, they all wanted to awaken their stands too. But the problem was that Joey had been completely upfront about it. He told them everything they needed to know. If they still couldn't figure it out, then there was nothing he could do. Talent wasn't something that could be forced. And stands? They were the manifestation of one's spirit and will. If you understood it, you understood it. If you didn't, tough luck. One more thing, do not compare the Joestar family to anyone else. That whole family is a walking cheat code. Watching his siblings deep in thought, Joey spoke. Think it through carefully. During this time, I'll go with Zakato. Oven will also come with me. The rest of you, whether you want to awaken your stands or train your skills, it's up to you. Opera shook his head. Big bro, I've already taken care of the ship's defenses, but I need to head back. Lately, more and more enemies have been attacking. If I leave those four alone for too long, there might be trouble. Joey nodded. Got it. Roar. As soon as he finished speaking, Opera transformed into a dragon and soared into the sky, disappearing in an instant. Joey watched him go and murmured, Zakato, it's all up to you now. And Daifuku, you better work hard too. Hey. He chuckled to himself. Time sure flew by. Had it really been 15 years already? His siblings were growing stronger every day, showcasing incredible talent and power. Joey muttered to himself, first, I need more aptitude pills, those are crucial. Golden level talent must become standard for the family. If possible. I should get divine bones too. He pondered over his next moves. Aptitude pills. Divine bones. These were the ultimate currencies of power. The next day, after getting used to his new strength, Zakato began his challenge. Thud. As he stepped into the fighting arena, his stocky, tiger-like presence silenced the crowd. No one dared to laugh at him. After all, in just 3 days, he had already conquered 3 islands. Across those islands, he had taken down 40 dojos. In other words, at this point, Zakato commanded nearly 50,000 fighters. Everyone. Zakato slightly bowed before formally introducing himself. Charlotte Zakato. 12th son of the Charlotte family. I challenge this dojo as a free fighter. His hands clenched into fists, and his sharp gaze swept across the room. The students turned to their master, knowing full well they weren't strong enough to face Zakato. This was the free fighting dojo, and its master was a long-gone tribe warrior. The master stepped forward and said sharply, then I won't hold back. Please. Zakato responded, eyes locked onto his opponent. In the blink of an eye, crack. Boom. Free fighting was straightforward. It was basically street brawling, no rules, just raw skill. Anything went, as long as you won. Zakato was now at silver level 1, while his opponent was merely bronze level 6. The outcome was clear from the start. Boom. With a loud crash, the long-gone warrior was slammed onto the ground. Zakato stood over him, calmly stating, good fight. From today onwards, this island and all its fighters belong to me. No one objected. No one dared to resist. That was the law of the Mixed Martial Arts Club Alliance. Zakato continued, according to the rules, in 3 years, any of you may challenge me again. If you win, you will reclaim your honor and your authority. But if you lose, you will remain under my command. Yes, Elder. For warriors of this world, Zakato was no longer just a mere fighter, he had earned the title of Elder. Oh? Joey watched Zakato with growing amusement. His smile deepened as he commented, Owen, did you see that? Zakato's will is beginning to take form. Huh? Owen, standing behind Joey, scratched his head awkwardly. Big bro, are you saying Zakato might awaken a stand? Joey nodded. It's highly possible. This kid is honing his willpower through battle after battle. His fighting spirit is sharpening to its peak. If this keeps up, his stand will inevitably awaken. Haha. Joey chuckled to himself, shaking his head. This was an unexpected but welcome development. To be honest, he had been training his siblings to awaken their stands for a long time now. Stand abilities. A stand was an extremely powerful asset. It was directly linked to the user's own strength. If fully developed, it was like having two warriors fight as one. Of course, Joey's own stand was particularly overpowered. Silver Greatsword? A stand so formidable that, if perfected, it could allow Joey to fight like 47 warriors at once. And that wasn't even counting his own physical strength. It was a complete bug of an ability. However, Joey himself hadn't fully realized just how terrifying his stand's potential truly was. It still had many undiscovered abilities. There was a lot to unlock. That was something Joey would work on in due time. At that moment, Zakato stood before Joey with a serious expression. "Big bro. It's done." Joey smiled approvingly at Zakato. "You've grown, kid. On to the next island." "Understood." Zakato nodded firmly. And so the next round of battles began. If the enemy specialized in martial arts, Zakato would fight them with martial arts. If they practiced free fighting, he would use free fighting. If they were boxers, he would take them on as a boxer. This was the very essence of the Mixed Martial Arts Club Alliance challenges. To win, one had to defeat their opponent in their own field of expertise. Only then would the world recognize them as a true warrior. Why was Zakato gaining so much respect? Because he showed no weaknesses. In just 7 short days, he had conquered 7 islands and defeated 99 combat clubs, without a single loss. His reputation was rising to that of a true champion. Chapter 108, Just One Step Away. Smack. Walking along the road. Zakato. At this very moment, his heart was in an extreme state of calm. 7 days. 7 islands. 99 fighting clubs. You could say. Zakato was creating a legend. After all, to succeed in a challenge according to the Mixed Martial Arts Club Alliance's rules was no easy feat. There were all kinds of combat styles out there. Mastering so many different techniques? Even an old veteran in their 70s or 80s would struggle. Let alone. Zakato was only 7 years old. But, sometimes, geniuses just defy logic. Especially when a genius has an equally unreasonable teacher, things can get downright eerie and terrifying. Zakato took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. Standing at the edge of the island, he seemed lost in thought. Oven tilted his head in confusion. "Big bro. What's Zakato planning to do?" Joey explained warmly. "Zakato is trying to condense his spirit after those 99 battles, to fully solidify it into a combat-driven will. But whether he succeeds or not, I'm not entirely sure. It could be extremely difficult. Or it might turn out to be surprisingly simple." To be honest, even Joey himself wasn't sure. It was only natural. The power of a stand. It was an embodiment of one's will, manifesting through life energy into a tangible force. But the real question was, how easy was it to fully condense one's willpower to the extreme? Oven scratched his head. "Big bro. So we're just gonna wait?" Joey smiled. "Yeah, we'll just wait. No big deal. Let's go." Joey stretched lazily. "Consider this a little break. Daifuku and Zakato both have their own things to deal with." "Oh." Oven's face stiffened. He felt mocked somehow. Even though his big bro hadn't actually mocked him. "Sigh." He muttered in frustration. Not only Daifuku, even Zakato was showing progress. That made things awkward. For others, maybe it wasn't a big deal. But for Oven, a hot-headed guy like him? This was something he just couldn't accept. Anger at his own weakness flared up inside him. TCH, Joey watched as Oven turned and walked away with big strides. Shaking his head, he muttered, "That kid. He always thinks he shouldn't be weaker than anyone. But among the 3 brothers, he's always at the bottom." Sigh. He needs to control this kind of frustration. Katakuri, Daifuku, and Oven. The 3 brothers. Oven had always worked hard. But, in every aspect, he still fell slightly behind his 2 brothers. It left him feeling helpless and frustrated. Sigh. Shaking his head, Joey sighed, Oven's not the only one. These kids all have their issues. Watching them grow up? It's gonna take time. Sometimes, a mental block isn't something an outsider can help fix. Joey returned to the ship alone. "Big bro." Custard and Moscato ran over. "Huh?" Moscato looked around curiously. "Where's Oven and Zakato?" Joey sighed. One ran off out of frustration, the other stayed behind to meditate. Ugh. These kids are such a headache. Seriously, they're all problem children. Rubbing his temples, Joey felt a headache coming on. Custard thought for a moment and said, "Big bro, maybe this isn't such a bad thing for Oven?" "Oh?" Joey raised an eyebrow. "Why do you say that?" Custard explained, "Big bro, you said that stand abilities are born from a highly concentrated spirit. If that's the case, wouldn't Oven's frustration, his anger at himself, be part of that focus? He's a hot-headed guy, and his self-doubt fuels his rage. If he learns to harness that along with his heat fruit. Joey listened to her unfinished thoughts and nodded in agreement. You're not wrong. There's definitely potential there. Joey murmured, Daifuku. Oven. Zakato. If you brats want to try, then go all in. Don't embarrass the Charlotte family. Hey. Chuckling, Joey shook his head. Alright, you two need to study too. Let's just wait and see. Okay. The siblings nodded obediently. They knew what they needed to do. Joey's expression softened. These were his younger siblings, after all. Now, I just have to wait. But Joey didn't expect that this waiting game would last 7 days. It was truly something beyond his expectations. Day 1 deep in the forest of one of the Mixed Martial Arts Club Alliance Islands, huff. Daifuku panted heavily. He muttered to himself, I'm so close. I can feel it. But, something's still missing. No. I can't stop here. Even if, his eyes flashed with a fierce determination. A terrifying aura radiated from Daifuku. He stepped forward and continued his training in the forest, pushing himself to the limit. He was trying to reach the peak of his spirit through sheer extreme exertion. That was his goal. But, what Daifuku hadn't noticed, was the faint strands of dark purple mist starting to emerge from his body, like an eerie fog, gradually spreading across the entire forest. Unfortunately, the mist flickered between appearing and vanishing. Illusory and eternal. As if separated by just a thin veil or merely one step away. But what lay beyond? No one could say for sure. This was Daifuku's own path to walk. Day 3 In the middle of a small volcanic crater, Oven let out a terrifying roar. He pounded the ground with his fists over and over, his eyes burning with an almost demonic glow. Huff, taking deep, labored breaths, Oven pounded his own chest in frustration, roaring, I refuse to accept this. I refuse. Why am I so useless? Katakuri Daifuku I can't compare to either of them. And now? Am I about to be surpassed by my own younger brother, too? Am I really such a failure? At this moment, Oven's self-loathing reached an extreme. His anger burned within him like a raging fire. If anyone had been watching, they would have seen flames flickering around him, as though his fury had taken physical form. What kind of torment had this man gone through to reach such a state? Day 4 Mixed Martial Arts Club Alliance. The Elders Island. This island was home to the Alliance's 3 most powerful elders. The 3 of them sat together, stroking their long beards. The elder in the center spoke first. The Charlotte family is truly troublesome. That boy has fought through 99 islands and still hasn't left. The second elder said, that's not much of an issue. If he insists on continuing, we'll just have to teach him a lesson. The third elder added, that's an option. However, judging by Tato Land's rate of expansion, their population of 100,000 should be about enough already. Let's wait and see. Agreed. No matter what changes occur, as long as we don't break the rules, everything will be fine. In the Alliance, rules are the most important thing. Indeed. The 3 elders closed their eyes, no longer speaking, simply waiting for the outcome. Day 5 Huff. Zakato exhaled deeply, shaking his head in frustration. Sigh. He knew it. No matter how much he continued, he wouldn't be able to fully condense his spirit. Despite winning 99 consecutive battles, he had yet to face a truly equal opponent. That was the key. Only through battling an opponent of equal strength could he push his will to its absolute limit and truly manifest his power. Exhale, still one step away, Zakato decided it was time to head home. But before that there was still something he had to do. Day 7. Standing at the edge of the ship, Joey murmured, it's been 7 days now. And still no word from those 3 brats. If it weren't for the family system confirming that they're all fine, I'd have thought something had happened to them. Sigh. He sighed, rubbing his temples. Kids grow up so fast. And every single one of them has their own little issues. It's a real headache. The stand. Joey had originally prepared this power as a tool for the family. As long as they followed the right steps, eventually, every family member would awaken their stand. After all, a person's willpower always reaches its peak at some point. And when that moment comes, a stand will inevitably awaken. But for these 3, they weren't just seeking power. They were even chasing Katakuri. Katakuri to them was the ultimate role model. In their minds, only by following in Katakuri's footsteps could they truly become pillars of the family. Daifuku, Oven, Zakato. All 3 of them wanted to be that pillar. They wanted to awaken their stand as soon as possible. Seeing his younger brothers working so hard, Joey couldn't say anything to discourage them. All he could do was support them. Clap. At that moment, Zakato returned, his expression unusually solemn. Big bro. I failed. Joey simply asked in a gentle voice, how much are you lacking? Zakato clenched his fists. His voice was firm. Just one step. Give me one chance. I know I can do it. A chance, huh? Joey understood exactly what Zakato was asking for. Right now, Zakato had already conquered 99 fighting clubs. At this point, his achievements were enough to take 100,000 people and leave the island. And if he wanted more, he would have to face the elders. If he lost, everything he had earned would be forfeited. He would be reduced to a mere island manager. Only after 3 years could he challenge again. Tato Land could not afford such a loss. For anyone else, mastering so many martial arts techniques like Zakato had would be nearly impossible. Joey knew that. And so did Zakato. That's why he had been so silent. He needed one final battle. He needed a chance. Only then could he push his spirit to its absolute limit and succeed. Otherwise it was almost impossible. Hey! Looking at the downcast Zakato, Joey's expression softened. Brat, what are you worrying about? If you want to try, then try. Big bro will give you this chance. Win the fight, awaken your stand, and then come with me to see how your two idiot brothers are doing with their own stand awakenings. Huh? Zakato lifted his head. Looking at his brother's warm smile. He clenched his fists and nodded firmly. Big bro. I swear I'll win. I'll bring victory back home and prove to everyone, I, Charlotte Zakato, am unstoppable.